As she stood in front of her 5th grade class on the first day of school, she told the children an untruth. Like most teachers, she looked at her students and said that she loved them all the same. However, that was impossible, because there in the front row, slumped in his seat, was a little boy named Teddy Stallard. Miss Thompson had watched Teddy the year before and noticed that he didn't play well with other children, that his clothes were messy, and that he constantly needed a bath. And Teddy could be unpleasant. It got to the point where Miss Thompson would actually take delight in marking his papers with a broad red pen, making bold X's, and then putting a big F at the top of his papers. At the school where Miss Thompson taught, she was required to review each child's past records, and she put Teddy's off until the last. However, when she reviewed his file, she was in for a surprise. Teddy's 1st grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is a bright child with a ready laugh. He does his work neatly and has good manners. He is such a joy to be around." His 2nd grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is an excellent student, well liked by his classmates, but he is troubled because his mother has a terminal illness, and life at home must be a struggle." His 3rd grade teacher wrote, "His mother's death has been hard on him. He tries to do his best, but his father doesn't show much interest, and his home life will soon affect him if some steps aren't taken." Teddy's 4th grade teacher wrote, "Teddy is withdrawn and doesn't show much interest in school. He doesn't have many friends, and he sometimes sleeps in class." By now, Miss Thompson realized the problem, and she was ashamed of herself. She felt even worse when her students brought her Christmas presents, wrapped in beautiful ribbons and bright paper, except for Teddy's. His present was clumsily wrapped in heavy brown paper that he got from a grocery bag. Miss Thompson took pains to open it in the middle of the other presents. Some of the students started to laugh when she found a rhinestone bracelet with some of the stones missing and a bottle that was 1/4 full of perfume, but she stifled the children's laughter when she exclaimed how pretty the bracelet was, putting it on and dabbing some of the perfume on her wrist. Teddy Stallard stayed after school that day, just long enough to say, "Miss Thompson, today you smell just like my mom used to." After the children left, she cried for at least an hour. On that very day, she quit teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, she began to teach children. Miss Thompson paid particular attention to Teddy. As she worked with him, his mind began to come alive. The more she encouraged him, the faster he responded. By the end of the year, Teddy had become one of the smartest children in the class. And, despite her lie that she would love all the children the same, Teddy became one of her teacher's pets. A year later, she found a note under her door from Teddy, telling her that she was the best teacher he'd ever had in his whole life. 6 years went by before she got another note from Teddy. He then wrote that he had finished high school 3rd in his class, and she was still the best teacher he ever had in his whole life. 4 years after that, she got another letter, saying that while things had been tough at times, he'd stayed in school. He'd stuck with it, and would soon graduate from college with the highest of honors. Again, he assured Miss Thompson that she was still the best and favorite teacher he'd ever had. Then 4 more years passed, and yet another letter came. After he got his bachelor's degree, he had decided to go a little further. She was still the best and favorite teacher he'd ever had. But now his name was a little longer. The letter was signed Theodore F. Stallard, M.D. The story does not end here. There was yet another letter that spring. Teddy said he'd met this girl and was going to be married. He explained that his father had died a couple of years ago, and he was wondering if Miss Thompson might agree to sit at the wedding in the place that was usually reserved for the mother of the groom. Of course, Miss Thompson did, and guess what? She wore that bracelet, the one with several rhinestones missing. Moreover, she made sure she was wearing the perfume that Teddy remembered his mother wearing on their last Christmas together. They hugged each other, and Dr. Stallard whispered in Miss Thompson's ear, "Thank you for believing in me. Thank you so much for making me feel important and showing me that I could make a difference." Miss Thompson, with tears in her eyes, whispered back. She said, "Teddy, you have it all wrong. You were the one who taught me that I could make a difference. I didn't know how to teach until I met you." You can never tell what type of impact you may have on another's life by your actions or lack of action. Please consider this fact in your venture through life, and just try to make a difference in someone else's life today.
You who dwell in the shelter of the Lord, who abide in His shadow for life, say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock, in whom I trust, and He will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of His hand. The snare of the fowler will never capture you, and famine will bring you no fear. Under His wings, your refuge, His faithfulness, your shield, and He will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of His hand. And for to His angels He's given a command to guide you in all of your ways. Upon their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And He will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of His hand. And hold you in the palm of His hand.
Good morning, dear teachers from Puerto Princesa, Palawan, and we are now on our second day of our 3-day program. Like I announced yesterday, whole day po tayo today. We have a morning session at 8:30, starts at 8:30, and this afternoon we also have a session, our third session at 1:30 in the afternoon. Let me give you a few reminders before I introduce this morning session. First, of course, is the accomplishment of the attendance link for session 2. It's up on our FB group page. And then also, our assessment tool yesterday and last night. There were some questions about the submission of our assessment tool. Like I announced during the orientation, the assessment tool po will be submitted after completing the assessment for the 4 sessions. So the submission will be tomorrow after session 4. So dun po natin siya isasubmit. We'll put up a submission bin tomorrow and I will announce it also and give further instructions. So don't worry muna po about submission. Just accomplish po muna our assessment task. So yesterday, we had a very productive session with Ma'am Gina. So after her session, I also posted her presentation as well as the materials. These are the assessment forms that you can use for behavior analysis. Yung mga assessment form for ABA, these are tools, assessment tools that she recommends for us to use. So hindi po natin yun sasagutin para sa atin or to be submitted for this program. These are tools that you can use for your classes, for assessing your students whom you feel need special attention. Yun po yung tools na pwede natin gamitin. O hindi po natin sasagutan at hindi rin po natin isasubmit for this program. So clarification lang po yun. So you can just download it and save it on your device po and print it as needed if you have students or learners whom you want to assess. Finally po, we have, I forgot to announce it yesterday, but there are membership forms, links, application for membership to i.LEAD as an organization. So for those of you po who might be interested, kindly check out the link on our FB group page. The cutoff for membership is up to 5 p.m. po today. So, i-accomplish lang po natin yon. Basahin po natin mabuti, accomplish natin if we are interested to become members of i.LEAD. So, yun lamang po yung mga announcements natin for this morning. Okay, our resource speaker for this morning is already on deck. Let me introduce to you this morning's session, our second session. Our second session is about strategies and approaches for handling classes with diverse learners. So, yesterday we had several sharing about issues of whether it is right to include students with special needs sa regular classes natin. So maybe we can explore that further in this morning session. It is an everyday reality for classroom teachers that each class has its own unique mix of students. It's also expected that each class will be diverse in terms of aptitude, attitude, and behavior. In this session, we will discuss strategies that classroom teachers can adapt to address the challenges of the diversity of learners in their own classes. As participants, you're also expected to share your own experiences with your own students and the strategies you employed to address similar situations. Our expected learning outcomes for this morning is to compare and contrast different learning aptitude and attitudes of learners in the classroom and to develop and or adapt new strategies and approaches to cater to the diversity of our learners. For our assessment, so again, we have 2 assessments. For proficient teachers, you're asked what aptitudes and attitudes of learners in your own classroom, whether it is face-to-face, online or modular in your past experiences, do you think first optimize learning and second hamper learning? Okay. For our highly proficient teachers, you're asked to identify effective strategies that can be employed to overcome attitudes among learners that hamper learning, and how can you apply this to online, modular, or face-to-face learning? So yan po yung ating assessment for this session. So how can we respond to these questions? And to help us do that, we have a resource speaker this morning. We're very lucky to have with us Dr. Rico Jacoba from St. Louis University. Dr. Jacoba holds 2 MAs, one in special education and another in religious studies. He also holds 2 PhDs, one in educational management and more recently applied theology from the De La Salle University. Dr. Rico has been teaching at St. Louis University for more than 20 years, so really a seasoned educator. Ladies and gentlemen, dear teachers, let's welcome our speaker for this morning, Dr. Rico Jacoba. Dr. Rico, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am, and good morning to all. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. I hope you can hear me. Let me just check my audio. Can
Loud
you?
and clear kayo, Doc Rico.
Okay, thank you so much, and magandang umaga sa lahat. I'm very happy, and I thank the i.LEAD for inviting me this morning's session. No, but of course, I also want to recognize this morning a friend who will be joining us from the United States to share her experiences. No, for a long time handling kids with diverse learning needs. No. Dr. Dumalanta, is he here? Dr. Dumalanta, may I hear from you? I know Dr. Dumalanta is here now joining us from the United States, so that later on we will take the opportunity and grab this opportunity to ask Dr. Dumalanta to share some of her experiences as well in handling kids with diverse needs. Once again, may I hear if she's around or
Good
I can?
morning.
Yeah,
Good morning,
good
good
morning.
evening here. Yeah,
Good
sorry.
evening, good
Yeah,
evening.
I'm
Good
disoriented.
morning po.
All right.
Yeah.
See, Ma'am Dumalanta is a former faculty of St. Louis University, professor for several years, but eventually started her own center, the +1 Center Intervention Center for Kids with Special needs, and then they eventually ventured into more higher and, of course, exciting job, which eventually she settled in the United States for several years now. So thank you, Dr. Dumalanta, for joining us today. And later on, I will be asking you to share your experiences. But allow me to share my screen for a while so we can at least have some introduction about this topic. There. Okay, so I hope everybody can see my screen shared now.
Visible,
Yeah.
sir. Visible.
All right, thank you. So as Ma'am Florendo earlier said of our topic, strategies in teaching students with diverse learning. This is quite interesting on my part. Okay, on my experience of handling kids with diverse learners from elementary to college to even up to the postgraduate, napakaraming mga karanasan. I hope everybody can also understand Tagalog, no? Not only in the country but in other countries as well. I went to southern part of Asia and met a lot of challenges also, especially because of my assigned work before was on quality assurance and inspection, and trying to take a look at and evaluate particularly the different curricular activities offered in different schools international. No? So I think, and of course, I know, greetings to those who are here joining us from the different parts of our country. No, Palawan, I've heard most of you from Palawan, no? So exciting, no? One part of the country na hindi ko pa napuntahan. I'm quite sana no one day I can go there. But I have a lot of friends in Palawan also. Encountered a lot of them, but I wasn't able to go to Palawan yet. Anyway, so as a kind of introduction, let me start with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4. We know very well that one of the important aspect of education or the United Nations concern is about the Sustainable Development Goals. These are 17 sustainable goals. And one important goal is on education, no? The quality education. Let's start from there. Okay, let's start from there. Let me hear from you. No? Anybody from the participants who already explored about the SDG number 4 of the United Nations? Meron ba? Can I hear from you? Can I hear from the participants? May participants ba tayo? Si Edmond Toledo, you're here, Ed. Can you hear me, Ed? Mukhang wala si Ed. I hope I am Ed. What about Eden Saison? Are you here, Eden?
Good
There,
morning, sir.
si Eden, okay. Si Eden na ba to?
Si Edmond,
Or
sir. Si Edmond.
si Edmond. Hi, Edmond. Kumusta na, Edmond?
Good morning, sir. Ano po ulit ang question, sir?
Yeah, tinatanong ko lang kung were you able to explore the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4? Na-encounter mo na to?
Hindi ko po, sir, makita sa screen yung number 4 kung ano. Nakalagay kasi strategies in teaching students with diverse learning.
Okay, sige. So I am asking about there you are, no? So the Sustainable Development Goal number 4. So was there any occasion or instance in your experience that you've explored about this Sustainable Development Goal? Meron na ba?
So far, sir, sa ngayon wala pa po kasi bago pa lang po ako sa DepEd.
Okay, so bago pa lang sa DepEd, no? All right. Thank you, Ed. What about the others? Perhaps si Christine Joy Cacho. Christine, are you with us? Parang nag-check na rin ako ng attendance, no? Kung nandyan kayo or naka-log-in lang. Christine, how are you?
I'm good, sir. Hello, sir.
Medyo ang dami ata dyan na kasama si Christine.
Yes, sir. Meron po.
Asan ba kayo, Christine, ngayon? Mukhang grupo kayo dyan, Christine, no? Ayan, si Christine, medyo marami siyang kasama doon. No? I hope hindi ka naistorbo sa pakikinig, Christine. Christine, are you there now?
Yes, sir. Yung noise po ay sa other participant po yata, sir.
Okay. Sorry, Christine.
Yes,
no? Iba pala yun. No? So, Christine, let's talk about the Sustainable Development Goal number 4. May karanasan ka na bang na-explore ito, na pag-usapan sa grupo ninyo?
Sa ngayon, sir, wala pa po.
Wala pa rin, no? Wala pa rin. But you've heard about the sustainable goals of the United Nations, no?
Yes, sir.
Of course. Okay, these are the most important thing that we need to know right now as to we explore into not only in education but in all aspect of life. No, so let me just explore this with you for a while as kind of introduction. Now, remember, my their participants, that Sustainable Development Goal number 4 particularly is on Sustainable Development Goal number 1 is the educational goal. Okay, 17 yan, marami yan, pero all of these goals are interconnected. They all pertain to sustainable development. But one particular aspect which I would like to explore with you is the sustainable education, the educational goal number 4. Okay, so what is the aim? Okay, the aim of this sustainable development goal is to... Okay, may mga interruptions tayo, Ma'am Ma'am Rosario, for yung mga sounds natin, baka pwede nating i-unmute muna. Okay, it aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The word for all is inclusive, okay? Whether a boy or a girl, or tall or dark, or whoever is it. So SDG number 4 is made up of 10 targets actually, no? May 10 target tayo na dapat nating tandaan. Una, kailangan nating tandaan na target number 1, okay? But by 2030, the United Nations want to ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary lifelong to relevant and effective learning outcomes. Tandaan natin yan, ha? So ito yung target natin by 2030. Ano nang year na to? Kailan pa nagsimula to? 15 years ago? Meron na to? Nasa 2030 na tayo? Narating na ba natin itong complete, free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes? Tanong lang naman, no? Sa provision of 12 years of free, public funded, inclusive, equitable, quality primary and secondary education, of which at least 9 years are compulsory, leading to relevant learning outcomes, should be ensured for all, okay, without discrimination. So I am emphasizing should be ensured for all without discrimination. Kahit sino ka, no? Yung target number 2 natin ay kailangan natin by 2030 to ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so that they all ready for primary education. This provision of at least 1 year of free education compulsory and compulsory quality pre-primary education is encouraged to be delivered by well-trained educators as well as that of early childhood development care. Now, ito ang gusto kong emphasize, target number 4. Okay, 10 to pero i-emphasize ko lang to, no? By 2030, we substantially increase the number of youth and adults who have relevant skills, including technical and vocational skills for employment, jobs, and entrepreneurship. No? Ito yung gusto nating ma-attain. Ibig sabihin lang natin, whether you are a fast learner, slow learner, whatever, okay, ang target natin is job opportunity for all. Now, to introduce, okay, our diverse learner, moving on tayo, no, dito sa Sustainable Development Goal number 4. One important aspect of it is to recognize diversity, okay? To recognize diversity among learners. This label, okay, is a cat's call assigned to many different types of students because of their culture or race or religion, academic ability, the native language, or socioeconomic status, among other considerations. Okay, remember, no? So in general, the term represents one who differs from the majority of students in some way when it comes to their education. The law protects many of the groups mentioned above when it comes to the type of education they should receive. I hope so, no? Sana nga. Okay, I'm hoping na kahit sa inyong lugar, yung assurance, the law assured everyone to be protected according to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Okay, meeting the needs of diverse learner is a responsibility, not a bonus. Okay, so take note, my dear teachers. Okay, it is our responsibility and it is not a bonus action that we need to do. Many teachers have committed to making sure that all students receive an equal, adequate education. But it's figuring out how to provide this. That's the tricky part of it. Madali lang sabihin kasi, okay, we are diverse, okay, iba't iba ang pangangailangan ng ating estudyante, pero yung papaano natin gawin ito at ano yung dapat nating gawin para sa kanila, ay yun ang pinaka mahirap gawin. So classroom teachers and other specialists seem to be on a constant search to find creative ways to teach diverse learners. Alam natin yan kahit kayo, no? Sa nagba-viral sa video ngayon, ang dami mga teachers, mga kumakanta, nagti-TikTok, nagba-vlog, whatever that strategy they need to do in order for them to cater to the learning need of individual kids. At this point, okay, I would like to invite, okay, one of our friends, no, si Dr. Dumalanta, no, Dr. Dumalanta, to at least give us a glimpse or an idea on how is it to cater to different kids from the Philippines to the United States with diverse learning needs. No? So, Dr. Dumalanta, can you share something about your experience of handling kids with diverse learning, and what are your strategies perhaps in dealing with these needs? Doc?
Okay. Good morning sa inyo. Good evening here. Okay, just to give you a background of my experience. So I was a professor at St. Louis University for 17 years. And I also, and then after teaching at the university, of course, at the same time, while teaching at the university, I have my own therapy center for kids with who are differently abled or with whatever the label may be. But what I can say is we're catering for the kids who really needs more attention or needs help. And then aside from that, I taught in Maryland, and most of my kids are African Americans. And then after teaching in Maryland, I taught in Arizona. Most of them are Mexicans. And right now I'm in New Mexico. So yeah, I'm all over. So, okay, with regard to my experience, I taught in Maryland, elementary to middle school, and then in Arizona, middle to high school, and now I'm only handling fifth graders. Okay, teachers, if you have questions, and just raise your hand so I can accommodate your questions, and I hope you will learn from my sharing. So aside from being a special education teacher, I was also the EL, English Learners Coordinator at in Arizona. So yeah, so I catered all the kids with aside from the special needs, of course, with who are English learners. Okay, part of the strategies. You know what? I really love the word yet. When I read the chat, when Dr. Jacoba asked you, do you have any idea about the United Nations, something like that? And then I guess two of you said, not yet, sir. Okay, that's very important. Not yet. You did not say no. I don't have any idea, but I really love the word yet. That's a very powerful word for us teachers. You will sometimes if you will ask your students, do you have any idea about, like, for example, if you will ask about them regarding the life cycle, do you have any idea about life cycle? Do you have any idea about something else? And then most of the students, what are you saying? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But if you will tell them, okay, you don't know it yet. You don't have any idea. But so the power of the word yet, that's very important for us educators. Okay, for us, and especially for special education teachers, that's very important for us, because the student will learn and then they will have the idea that, oh, she's right. I don't have any idea for now, but because I'm learning and I really want to learn, I will acquire that knowledge. So I guess that's one important thing that you need to tell to your students, that the power of the word yet. Hindi mo pa alam ngayon, pero malalaman mo rin. Hindi mo pa kaya ngayon, like solving equations or finding the stem and leaf in math. So you don't know it yet, but we're here in the classroom to help you learn the concept. So not yet. Just like me, would you believe that it's only now that I learned how to drive? So I'm already 53 years old. But before, I just keep on saying, no, I don't know how to drive. I don't know. So on my mind, I might not be able to learn how to drive because my mind is so close then. But the power of the word yet, when I said, okay, I don't know how to drive for now, but not yet for now, but eventually I know that I will learn how to drive. So yeah. So again, that's just imagine one word, but that's very powerful. Okay, the word yet. Okay, there are a lot of strategies. I don't know, teachers, if you're familiar with restorative learning. Meron po bang nakakaalam sa restorative learning? Ang dami po nating participants, 194 po tayo. So, I just want to know if may nakakaalam or may gustong malaman. Kasi that's very important for us to learn the restorative learning strategy. Okay, I guess our participants are so quiet.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone? Any idea? May I
Good
just
morning,
know?
sir.
Yep. Yeah. Go on.
Sir, regarding po doon sa restorative learning, parang nadaanan po namin yun sa isa sa mga seminars po namin sa school.
Mhm.
Yung nag-discuss po niyan sa amin is yung from CSWD, kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, in Puerto Princesa, we have here Bahay Pag-asa at Barangay Mangingisda. So,
Mhm.
idea lang po, sir, not sure if it is the exact meaning ng restorative learning. Parang if there are disagreements or conflicts po sa school, lalo na po between the bata or sa bata po, parang ito pong restorative learning is gumagawa ng paraan yung school or maybe the community. How are we going to solve it in a positive way na matulungan din po sila at ma-restore po sila? Yun po, sir. Idea lang po. Thank you so much po.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Leah. Ma'am D. Okay. So what do you say?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, ma'am, that so yeah, in terms of a dialogue, that's very important, the restorative practice. And then there are three components of restorative practice. The first one is, I know you already heard this word, mindfulness. Okay, that's the first. I don't know if I can share my, I know, I don't know. Okay.
Your
I can
screen?
share
You
it.
want to share your screen?
I guess I can share it. Let me see.
Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen for a while.
Okay, I don't know if I can share it.
Oh, there. So you can share your screen.
Hold on lang po, i-co-host namin si ma'am.
Okay, sige, ma'am. And I'll also like to recognize the presence of another invited guest this morning, Dr. Molino, a department head at St. Louis University. I invited her. Also, you can ask her later on of some questions. Perhaps she's handling at least more than 20,000 students in the university with diverse learning needs as well, no? So, Dr. Molino, recognize your presence. Okay, now you can see now the screen of Dr. Dumalanta from the United States. Good evening there, especially your co-teachers and friends out there. Okay, go on, Ma'am D.
Okay, so the first part of restorative practice is the mindfulness. You can see on your screen, the first word is mind that is really full. You can see that. So in our mind, there are a lot of, things that are bothering about us. And then the other one is being mindful. You see, you can see that's so calm. Okay, look at the trees and then the sun. But on the other hand, the mind that is really full, a lot of distractions on our mind. So in restorative practice, this is the first component. So let's see what are the different myths about mindfulness. Okay.
Doc Dumalanto, wala po siyang sound.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I don't know. Hold on. Okay.
Might be in the
I don't know.
yeah. Sometimes the sound can't be shared unless you have
Okay.
to. You're going to use audio mix, no? But of course
Okay,
that will
hold on,
be
hold on.
okay.
Hold on.
That's very interesting, no? Very interesting. I am also
Yeah, I know
interested.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry for that. That's a problem in
You
terms of technology. Ah. Can you just okay stop sharing, Doc Rico, for a while?
yeah, I'm not sharing anymore, and you can share your screen.
No, hold on. Can you see that screen, the mindfulness myth?
No, it's
No.
not appearing. You share it again. Share it again.
Okay.
Mindfulness, no? So interesting.
Right. Okay. I don't know how to do it now. Hang on. Hang on.
To be mindful.
Anyway, na siya makikita kung paano. Sorry for that. Okay, so I'll just continue my discussion. So,
yeah, please, yes.
Yeah, and then I might rather share it, the link eventually. So,
yep.
Okay, so the first one is mindfulness. Most of the time, we're just thinking that mindfulness is like meditation. Okay, that's the first myth about mindfulness. It's not only about meditation, but the main reason why we're doing our mindfulness is you need to be aware of what's going on in your environment. We're not negating the idea of negative thoughts because that's it is what it is. So yeah, but eventually in mindfulness, you know how to manage those negative thoughts. Okay, so it's not only meditation, and I can also share to Dr. Hakoba the different strategies in terms of mindfulness. Doc Rico, nakikita ba ako? Hindi. Hindi ko siya
We
nakikita
can
sa
see you. We can see you.
Okay. 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 So yeah. So the first one is mindfulness. Okay. Part of it is you need to, sometimes we're doing meditation, but it's not only meditation because that's a myth, just like I told you. It's not only meditation, but you need to be aware, especially what's going on with your body, if that's the goal, or what's going on your environment, or even if you're eating, sometimes or just keep on, eating like so fast. Sometimes most of us, we're enjoying the food if we eat so fast, but in mindfulness, you need to you need to taste, you need to enjoy the food that you're eating. So there's like in mindfulness, like I told you, you need to be aware of your environment or even on what's happening in your body. So that's the concept of mindfulness for our students. Okay. So in terms of the classroom strategy, we can use mindfulness like before we start our class, we can share a calm music for the student and let them feel the music. Okay, let them feel the music. And then after that, just for them to relax. Because it's not only as teachers, we're having a lot of tough times in our house or in our home, but also our students. So since the second home of our students is the classroom, so we want them to be relaxed. So you have to play the music, let them feel the music. So, and then of course, you can ask, so how do you feel after listening to the music? But it will not take that long. Remember, the classroom is, of course, the room for learning, but if I will connect it to the previous, the first video that you watched about Teddy, and then the teacher, and then the teacher stopped teaching language arts or reading, math, but the teacher already start teaching the students, the person, the persona itself, the students, not the academics, but the person, so the students. So that's also the idea of mindfulness. You need to be mindful, you need to be calm. And then the second one is the restorative, the circle, okay? The circle time. Meron po bang nakakaalam tungkol sa circle time dun sa idea of restorative practice? Meron po bang nakakaalam sa circle time natin? Okay.
Anyone from the audience? Anyone from our teachers?
Maganda kasi ito po talaga yung madalas na ginagamit ko sa classroom, yung circle time. Kahit anong yan, any level. Actually, even if you will facilitate like training, you can use the circle time. Okay. So, sa mindfulness po ba walang tanong?
Anyone? Okay. Napakaganda nung sharing about mindfulness kasi it's feeling what really is the reality is in the situation, in the context you are in. So for example, in the classroom, you really need to know and feel and be mindful. You're in the classroom, di ba, Ma'am Dumalanta? So sometimes we're preoccupied with so many things. Our mind is traveling outside. Our mind is, and so we're not sometimes mindful of our students. Their presence. Even we're even thinking of our concerns outside of the classroom, and that's why we can perhaps neglect the needs of our students. No, so mindfulness is being present. Okay, physically, mentally, emotionally, and be there, no? So thank you so much for that, Ma'am Dumalan. Plus, our teachers have some more additional clarifications and etc. Penny, I see Penny Jeneline name there. Hi, Penny, how are you? Can you hear us, Penny? Penny lang yung nakalagay kasi doon Penny Jeneline. Which I don't know which name is are you using, Penny or Jeneline? Naririnig ba tayo ni Penny? Si Angelita.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Ay, good morning, Ma'am Penny. Kumusta na po?
Okay lang po.
Nasaan po tayo ngayon?
Nasa Puerto Princesa po, sir.
Yeah, okay. Sana makapasyal tayo doon. Any question to Doc D?
About the topic, sir, it's very very nice topic, sir. Napaka-educational niya, sir, and it gives me a lot of knowledge about mindful.
Yeah,
It's
being
very
mindful.
important.
Mhm.
Yes, it is very important to be mindful all the times in your environment, especially in the classroom with your learners.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, sir, for the information.
Thank you, Ma'am Penny. No,
You're
let's
welcome.
be like that, no, always. But of course, it's not easy. Ano, kung minsan, really need a lot of struggle tayo rito, no? Kasi nga, napakarami. But emptying our mind, like Bruce Lee, no? Pag nagpa-practice yan si Bruce Lee doon ng martial art, the principle niya is if you're going to take a look at the glass full of water or half the glass of water, ang nakikita natin usually yung half full, no? Pag nilagyan mo yon, half na lang ang maidadagdag. If you're not going to empty the glass, okay, if you're not going to empty the glass, then you cannot have the full water. Pero if we teachers, okay, empty ourselves first and foremost, and accept the reality that we do not know anything, we start from there, then we can make ourselves full. Mapupuno tayo ng knowledge. So we start from that kind of principle. I like that Bruce Lee's principle, no? Just like today in our session, no? Alam natin mga teachers tayo, marami na tayong alam dyan. Pero you know what? Pag sinabi mong marami ka ng alam, wala na tayong matututunan, no? People will learn when they start emptying themselves. Being mindful is a part of emptying, no? Kasi pag punong-puno na tayo ng mga concerns, wala na, hindi na tayo sometimes magiging mindful sa mga nangyayari sa atin. So thank Doc D. And perhaps the second one, Ma'am D. Doc D.
Yeah, the second one is the restorative circle, the circle time. So the circle time is you have to let your students, to form a circle. And then first, you need to know your goal. And then you need to set like the mechanics, or what do you call that? The procedure on how to do the circle time. For the circle time, say for example, ano ba magandang topic dyan? Okay, like for example, katapos ng like weekends. So Monday, magkakaroon kayo ng circle time before na mag-start kayo ng klase. Okay? Hayaan nyo siya, mag-form kayo ng circle yung mga estudyante nyo. Pero make sure that the procedure is very clear. First and foremost, they need to learn how to respect. So kapag kami nagsasalita, walang dapat magbabat in. Okay? Tapos kung ano lang yung sinabi ninyo, like for example, okay, give me, like, tell me 2 adjectives to describe what happened during weekend. So, tanungin nyo sila. So, ilimit nyo lang. Kunwari, dalawang salita na maglalarawan sa naging karanasan nila noong nakaraang Sabado at Linggo. So, 2 lang. So, meron kayong talking stick. Kinakailangan meron kayong talking stick. Itong talking stick na to, kunwari, akong mauuna. Sabihin ko, fun, but...
Wala ka namang participation na mag-awit.
Okay. Sige. Okay. So, pwede kong sabihin na fun, but what else? Fun, but sometimes there was a time that I feel so lonely, something like that. So, dapat ilimit lang sa 2. Pagkatapos niyan, ibibigay mo na uli sa pwedeng nasa right o nasa left, depende sa magiging mechanics ng circle time ninyo. So, pwede mo ibigay dun sa right, tapos yan na naman magsasalita. May mga estudyante po tayo, this might happen, that a lot of students, what happened during weekends was like this, my mom went to the... So, she will already start telling stories. Again, you need to limit, okay, adjectives, 2 paglalarawan lang. 2 salita lang. Okay? 2 salita lang. Tapos, so siya naman, ibibigay na naman niya sa iba, and then what if? Yung susunod, ayaw magsalita, okay lang yun. Huwag pipilitin. Walang pipilitin dito, walang pilitan. So, hayaan nyo lang hanggang matapos yung circle time. So, first and foremost, you need to set your goal, bakit ko gagawin itong circle time na to. Okay? Kung minsan meron tayong gustong i-resolve sa sa klase natin, like some students nagbubuli sila, ganon, di ba? So pwede tayong gumawa ng circle time na yan. But make sure walang sasabihin na, oh, dahil ikaw nagbully ka, yung mga ganon, hindi. So ang sasabihin lang natin dyan, ano yung mararamdaman mo kapag nabully ka? Yung ganon. So magbigay ka lang ng isang salita. So circle time yon. So pwede natin gamitin yung circle time bago mag-start yung klase or pagkatapos ng recess or bago mag-end nung day na yon. Make sure yung circle time natin, hindi lalagpas yan hanggat maaari. Depende kasi ito sa number of your students. But most of the time, it's only like 5 minutes because this is not a core subject. Okay, but this is really very important to the development of our students and of course to show respect to one another. So that's the circle time. Very important sa akin kasi ito talaga yung palagi kong ginagawa. So yung circle time na to. So but make sure alam nila mag-respect, and then kapag kami estudyante tayo na nag-i-start na siyang manggulo, you have to stop. Tapos sabihin na lang natin na, okay, gagawin uli natin ito kapag ready na lahat. Alam natin, mangyayari dyan, sometimes the other students will just blaming one another, oh, dahil ikaw ganyan-ganyan. Hayaan nyo lang yun. Huwag na natin palakihin yung issue, basta sabihin lang natin, stop, and then we will do circle time tomorrow or when you're ready. Ganun po ang ano dito. So strategy din po yan sa loob ng classroom. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, very effective ito sa klase ko, considering na, okay, would you believe this is my first time that I experienced. One of my students told me, you idiot, could you imagine? I was about to cry because that's the first time that a student told me like me being an idiot. And then upon knowing, of course, the case of the student, okay, Marianne, understand that student. Okay, you need to understand, the case of your student. So yeah, most likely when I asked the mom, did your daughter take the medicine, and only to find out no. So ang hirap pagka ganyan. Kaya alam ko may mga estudyante tayo na bigla na lang manggugulo sa klase or kahit doon sa ating circle time. So possible na may manggugulo talaga, and then terminate. Tigilan na, stop mo nyo na yung circle time ninyo. But this circle time is very important. You should also choose the talking stick that will, interest them. So ito kasi sa akin, gusto nila ito kasi medyo floppy. So ayun, so masaya pag itong ginagamit ko. So that's the second strategy. Yeah.
Doc D, the ideal number of the circle time?
Hindi kasi dapat, sir, lahat ng estudyante mo kasama doon.
But our problem in the Philippines, perhaps you are in the context of the US, you have only few students. We in the Philippines, you experience that we have more than 50 students in the classroom, and that's one. How do you manage it?
Teacher, tingnan natin kung gaano karami yung pinakamarami sa mga participants natin.
Okay, yeah. Anyone,
share
nga tayo mga teachers.
Para makita natin kung sino yung pinakamarami. Para makita natin paano to circle time na to.
Yeah, pakisulat nga sa chat box. 31, si Mama, 32 students, 45, 45, there 43. So, ang average is 35, ma'am. 35 to 40, 45.
Okay, sir, kung ganun din yung klase natin, considering the nature of our students in the Philippines, they're more manageable compared to our students here. Kaya yung like 35 students, hayaan mo lang yan, kaya yan. Kasi hindi naman, sabi ko nga, i-limit nyo lang. Kung minsan one adjective lang, mabilis lang yan, sir. Kaya wag mo siyang hahayaan magkwento, ha? Kaya dapat you have to limit. Like for example, okay, I want you to give me 2 descriptive words or 1. Like, ganun lang. Pero pagka yung bata nag-start ng magkwento na, pumunta kami sa mall, and then kinakailangan i-redirect mo, I'm asking you to give me only 2 adjectives.
Good.
Mabilis lang po yun, sir. Oo.
Thank you
Kasi
so
kung
much,
35,
ma'am.
yeah,
Anyone from our teacher who want to add or at least enhance or clarify? Grab the opportunity. Ma'am D is here. And
Permission to speak po.
yes, sure, Ma'am Dus. Go on.
Opo, Ma'am Phoebe po from Luz Viminda. Opo, parang nakikita ko
okay.
po kasi yung scenario of circle time. It's like dining in with your family and talking with the family members po So parang mas nade-develop po yung relationship nung mga estudyante among them po. Tas sabi nga po ni Ma'am kanina yung respect na andun po So maganda po talaga yung ganung klase ng activity, although short time lang siya kailangan, pero talagang made-develop po yung good relationship po sa mga estudyante.
That's great, no? Thank you so much po, ma'am. Okay. Totoo po 'yan, no? Totoo po 'yan. Yung napakahalagang una nating ma-recognize yung respeto at parang nasa pamilya lang din naman 'yan, no? Yung bang bibigyan mo ng pagkakataon yung bawat isa na magsalita pero hindi minamanipulate ng isa lang. Okay, yung pagsasalita. Kung minsan kasi sa family, meron tayong masyadong isa lang nagsasalita, siya na lang dominante. Ganon din sa classroom. Okay, so dapat lahat equally given a chance. Thank you, Ma'am D. Anyone else gusto pang mag-share? Mag-affirm?
Okay, meron po sa mga chat, may mga nag-share po ng experience nila having done this in their own classroom.
Oh, yeah. Katulad ni, ang dami po tayo nag-share, no? You can also unmute your microphone. Okay lang yan. Si Ma'am Christine again, Ma'am Christine Joy, no? Nag-share siya. Ma'am Christine, unmute mo naman yung microphone mo. Pag-usapan natin yung na-share mo.
Hello sir, good morning po. Yes po. Ginawa ko siya last time sa kinder. It was Monday po. Monday po siya. And I asked them po ano nangyari sa Saturday and Sunday. So ang details ko po kasi is 33. So happy po siya. 16 sa morning and then 17 po sa afternoon. So nakikita ko po lahat and ginawa ko po yun sir with music and ball. So kung sino po yung magpapatugtog po ng music habang umiikot po pinapasa nila yung ball sa mga klase nila. Kung sino po yung mahintuan ng music and ball, siya po yung mag-share kung ano po yung nangyari sa kanya. Pero ang sasabihin niya po muna is yung face niya or yung emotion niya na naramdaman. For example po, happy, sad, yung nangyari sa kanya nung end. So yun po sir, effective po siya, napaka-effective sa kinder and yung attention po talaga nila ay full doon po sa amin. Yun po sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ma'am Christine. No, Ma'am D? Doc D.
Okay. Yeah, maganda rin yun yung may music, parang trip to Jerusalem mayayari. But yung ano ko lang doon, yung concern ko lang doon kung kanino, kunwari yung talking stick, kung kanino, kunwari mag-stop yung music, siya yung magsasalita. Ang ano ko lang dyan is, ang apprehension ko lang, paano kung ayaw magsalita ng bata nahihiya? So okay lang din siguro na hayaan lang kung ayaw niya magsalita, hayaan lang natin. So yun na siguro yung pwede kong i-add. Kaya nga sabi ko, yung sa talking stick natin, kaya kung sino lang, kunwari mag-start tayo sa right, pero kung ayaw niya magsalita, again, the premise is you have to respect. So ayaw niya sabihin, ayaw niya mag-share, so yung susunod na uli, susunod, yung ganon. Gagawin natin dito sa talking stick natin.
Ma'am D, ang tanong ni Ashley sa chat box natin, no? Ilan po ang allotted time to do circle time activities since we only have 1 hour per lesson? So ilan po yung allotted natin, yung proportionate time sa 1 hour lesson?
Okay, ika-clarify ko lang, yung circle time natin, pwede lang natin yung gamitin like once or twice a week before tayo mag-start ng klase. Hindi siya everyday kasi alamin lang natin yung goal natin. Ano ba yung ita-target natin? Ano ba yung gusto nating ma-achieve? Bakit tayo magkakaroon ng circle time? Kunwari, nagkaroon ng, sabi ko nga, halimbawa may parang nagiging marami nang nabubuli sa classroom natin. So, tingnan natin, kinakailangan kong i-address ito. Paano ko i-address? So, morning, magkaroon tayo ng circle time or before the end of the day, pwede tayo magkaroon ng circle time para i-address yung ganong concern. Hindi ko talaga siya nire-recommend na everyday na gagawin natin yung circle time kasi meron pa naman tayong iba pang practice na pwedeng gamitin. Ngayon, with regard to the question is how long, and then lagi ko sinasabi, if it is possible, we have to limit like 5 minutes but it should not be like 10 minutes because that's already too much. Kahit nasabihin natin 40 students, again, limit. You have to limit ilang words na ang gagamitin. Mas mabilis yon. Kahit 45 students yan, kahit itatry nyo yan, pag sinabi nyo, anong mararamdaman mo? Okay, the reason why we'll have our circle time is we need to know how you feel if you will be bullied. So, pag ikaw na-bully, ano mararamdaman mo? Ako mauna. Masama ang pakiramdam ko. Next, anong mararamdaman niya? Kung ganun pa rin. Second, yun lang, kahit 45 students yan, malalaman mo na. At kung sino yung laging nagbubully, may experience niya, ganito pala. Marirealize niyan without you telling to that person na, okay, nambubuli ka, ito yung nagiging consequence nun sa taong binubuli mo. Yung ganon. So, yeah, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, less than 10 minutes, matatapos yung circle time kahit 45 students. As long as you know how to limit yung descriptive language na gagamitin.
Yeah, thank you. Sa tingin ko nasagot din natin yung tanong ni Ma'am Riza, no? Sabi kasi niya, Madam, how often do you use circle time in your class? Sabi naman ni Doc D ay at least depende sa sitwasyon, 2 beses. Pero dapat may clear objective tayo para gawin natin yung circle time na yon. So it's a jumping activity, no? It's a starting activity to go into deeper issues. Okay, yun yung ating purpose why we do the circle time. We want to start. It's just like in other discipline, we call it the analysis of the situation. Usually, no, we have a starting point to analyze a situation, and when we analyze a situation, maraming paraan dyan. One way you can start with the circle time, of course, and this is very effective, no? Especially for kids na mahiyaing magsalita. Immediately makikita mo kung sino yung magsasalita, active na magsasalita, sino yung timid, sino yung ayaw magsalita. And there you can already observe the different behaviors of your students, no? Doon lang meron ka na ma-observe. Of course, related pa rin yan sa ating mindfulness. Okay, related pa rin yan sa ating mindfulness, and then be mindful of actions, reactions, words that your students are using. Yeah, sabi naman ni Ma'am Rachel, no? 30 po, share po, no? Group them into small groupings. Ito yung suggestions niya. Okay, may leader po na okay lang ba to, Ma'am D, Doc D, na that each group, pag dinivide mo sila by small groups, then you assign the group leaders?
Okay, okay. Maganda rin sana yung idea na yan, pero kasi may goal tayo as a teacher. Paano mo malalaman kung ano nangyari doon sa isang small group? Paano maririnig yung idea nung ibang group na yan? Like for example, ang gusto mong malaman yung mararamdaman ng estudyante kung nabubuli siya. So, hindi mo maririnig yung idea, yung pakiramdam ng ibang estudyante mo. Okay, very important talaga na iisang group lang kayo and then limit lang yung sagot. Limit lang talaga. Kasi ako, nagawa ko naman yan sa big group ng training namin dito. So, yeah. Especially,
which of course,
go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes yun yung even me, no? Sometimes in the bigger group, usually sa university, nagkakaroon ako ng small groupings. Lalo sa breakout rooms, pag online, nagkakaroon ng breakout rooms. Ang problema ko lang kung minsan talaga pag breakout rooms, out ako sa mga rooms. So I travel from one room to another room, pero hindi ko talaga nasusundan yung buong kabuuan ng discussions nila along the way. So pag pumasok ako sa breakout room nila, yun, naririnig ko yung sinasabi nila. But at the same time, namimiss ko yung ibang group. Okay, so I think nga I agree with you na if you have an objective, you want to know something in the group, okay, what's going on in the group or with the group, then you'll be present in the group all the time, okay, all the time. Okay, thank you. And that sabi nga ni Mama Christine, very effective po to. Ma'am Christine Joy Catcher kanina, Ma'am, effective to, no, sa mga kinder daw, no, ginawa na po niya yan. At sabi rin ni Cheryl, okay, may mga classroom po na hinahati yan sa maliliit na grupo at na-address na rin natin to. Hindi na siya magiging circle. Sabi nga, tama naman si no? Ito yung sinasabi ni Doc D. Okay. Sabi ni Florence that will also develop self-confidence to the learner. Thank you so much, Ma'am Florence. Tama po naman, Ma'am Florence Taylor. Si Ma'am Florence Taylor ba ay Ma'am Taylor, are you a Filipina or Taylor is not a Filipina family name? Ma'am Taylor, are you here? Can you hear us? Yung nag-chat si Ma'am Taylor dito. You can unmute your microphone, Ma'am Taylor, and share something. Because I'm just Taylor kasi hindi popular. Yeah, there you are, Ma'am Florence.
Good morning, sir. Yes po.
Filipina po?
Pure
Okay.
Filipina po. Yung mister ko lang po yung 1/4 American.
Yeah, I see, I noticed, no, kasi Taylor, parang talagang foreigner, no, Ma'am Florence? Yeah, there you are. Thank you so for sharing that, Ma'am Flo. Okay, sige. So, and a lot more. Okay, very interesting. Napakarami tayong mga sharings dito hanggang but I cannot manage to read them all. But I am quite happy for all these reactions. Okay, napakarami po natin yung mga sharings in the chat box, Ma'am B. And all interested to the circle group, which me, myself, is I'm very interested also to the circle group. Ngayon ko lang kasi kung minsan nauubos ko yung time sa sharing na to. Sometimes I really carefully listen to what one student is telling, no? And at the end of the day, 30 minutes na nagsasalita yung isa, the rest wala ng time. Okay. Okay. Sige. Ma'am D, go on.
Okay, yung last practice on restorative, okay, the last practice for the restorative practice, sorry, is of course the restorative language. Ito na yung na-share kanina ni Ma'am na yung yung tamang gagamitin mong salita. Say for example, instead of saying na alam mo masama yung sinabi mo, hindi ganon. Like, kunwari, nagmura yung bata. Minura niya yung kaklase niya. Isa sa classroom or even hindi sa classroom. So narinig mo yon, nagmura siya. Magagalit ka, definitely. Initial reaction is, sasabihin mo na, alam mo, mali ang ginawa mo. Parang gano'n. Ang tamang term na dapat gamitin ay ganito. For the restorative practice, alam mo, let the student realize yung effect nung ginawa niya. Yung halimbawa sasabihin mo, alam mo, medyo sumama yung loob ko nung narinig ko na sinabi mo dito sa kaklase mo na ganito. Kung ikaw kaya, maririnig mo yun, sasabihin sa'yo, anong mararamdaman mo? Rather than telling the student na, alam mo, masama yan. Di ba? Yung ganon. So, yung proper way, yung language na gagamitin natin, like, you know, I feel so sad when I heard you saying to your classmate, yung ganon. So, yun yung sa restorative practice. Yun yung third dun sa strategy. Kasi ito yung laging magagamit natin sa mga estudyante natin. Yeah. So, that's the last one.
Okay, so the three areas, no? The three of restorative
practice, the mindfulness, circle time, and then the restorative language.
Yung particularly sa language issue, one interesting topic that I'd like to discuss with the group later on, pag may time, is about inclusive language, especially in the classroom. No? The age-appropriate language na dapat gawin sa bawat age level. Okay, may appropriate language na dapat gamitin. But interestingly, Doc D, no, yung the way we talk, the way we communicate ourselves, kasi language either create or destroy people. Okay, that's the power of language. That's the power of language. That is why we teachers usually remind ourselves to be careful of whatever language we are going to use. Because as I've said earlier, language can create people, create community, or even destroy community, or even destroy the whole nation. You can see a lot of fake news. These are languages, okay, that we use in the social media. And when you start using fake news, you're actually assassinating. You call it character assassination. Ay sa classroom, gamitin mo yon. And as a teacher, especially, lahat ng sinasabi natin, di ba? Karamihan pinapaniwalaan yan ng mga bata. Okay? Pag dahil pinapaniwalaan niya ng bata, dala-dala niya yan hanggang paglaki. Ako nga, naalala ko pa yung sinasabi ng grade 1 teacher ko hanggang ngayon, no? Na hindi daw ako magpo-progress dahil tamad ako mag-aral, ganon. Pero, well, of course, it became a challenge rather than a negative thing for me. And I proved to her na hindi ako ganon. So, see, eventually, of all those challenges, ginawa ko siyang positive. Pero what about those kids na they can turn something negative to positive? Delikado. We will destroy them. Yeah, Doc G, Doc D, Doc D. Kasi Doc G is also here, no?
Yeah. So Rico, isa na lang sasabihin ko ha.
Yep.
Okay. Sa practice dito, actually hindi na to sa strategy. Okay, probably we can also call this a strategy to understand our students. Dito yung practice po namin is pag first grade, dapat i-assess yung bata kung may dyslexia. So, first grade yan. Pag grade 1, yun yung kanilang assessment para mabigyan agad ng proper intervention. Lang, bigla ko lang naalala na
but that's,
might be makatulong sa mga teachers natin. Oo. Sorry,
that's our problem, no? Sorry, Doc D. Doc D. No? Ang problema natin kasi dito, no? We just know among our teachers sa Palawan, may assessment tool or may assessment intervention ba kayo bago natin tanggapin yung estudyante sa grade level, grade 1? Our teachers from Palawan, may mga principals ba dito? May mga head teachers or our teachers? Do we have assessment tools to assess? Yes, yeah, Ma'am Irene, Ma'am Ignacio. Kindly unmute and share man naman, ma'am.
Good morning po.
Go on, ma'am. Medyo nag-e-echo lang pero okay na.
Opo, dalawa po kasi kami dito, sir.
Okay, okay.
Actually po, after pandemic po, saka po namin siya ginawa. Kasi usually naman po yung before po pumunta yung kinder, kasi kinder teacher po ako, dumadaan po sila sa daycare center. So, sa ganung paraan po, gumagawa kami ng sarili naming pre-evaluation assessment tool para nalalaman na namin kung ano yung pwede pa naming ituro o ano pa yung mga basic needs ng isang bata bago pumasok sa amin. Yun po yung ginagawa namin after pandemic po. Yun po yung isa sa mga ginawa. Kami rin lang naman po yung gumawa ng assessment tool namin. Para by simple writing their names, letters, then countings, mga ganun lang. As a kinder teachers po. Ganun po yung ginawa namin.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Sia. Thank you so much, Ma'am Ignacio. No? What about, nagre-raise ng hand Doc D, si Ana Lily. Ma'am Ana, you can just unmute your microphone.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
You go on, ma'am.
I'm from Puerto Princesa Pilot Elementary School. Actually po sa pilot, gumagamit po kami Sir and Doc ng mga assessment tools po for grade 1 before po sila maka-enter ng grade 1. Usually po ginagamit namin yung term po ng MFAT, yung multi-factored assessment tool, na kung saan doon po namin measure yung kung saan level po yung reading and writing ability and other factors na pwede po i-consider sa incoming grade 1.
Thank you, Ma'am Ana. No? Doc D, what do you say?
Yeah. Okay, maganda yun. At least meron po tayong ginagamit na mga tools. And then I want you to be aware of, yung like for the reading, tingnan po natin kung nakakapag-interchange agad sila ng mga words, like instead of ano ba yung mga madalas na napag-interchange, like saw, like was, gano'n, no, on. Maganda pong ano natin yan, i-note. And then kapag dun sa writing, kapag napag-interchange pa rin nila yung B, D, P, Q, i-note lang po natin yan. Hindi naman natin sinasabi na dyslexic agad yung bata, pero at least may idea tayo kung paano tutulungan yung bata. Kasi, ayan, dito nga talaga first grade nakikita niya. Kasi ako ngayon, yung fifth graders ko, meron talagang tinatanong pa ako, Miss, is this B or D? So, kita mo agad, makikita mo na talagang may dyslexic yung bata. So, at least at an early grade, at first grade, magkakaroon na tayo ng idea, probably, may dyslexia yung bata. Ang pinakamahirap kasi yung, sabi nga natin, okay, anyway, gone with the days na sinasabi nating bobo yung bata. Pero definitely, sometimes meron talaga silang learning difficulties. Ganon. So yeah, first grade, dito kasi yung assessment for dyslexia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I-note lang natin kung may mga na-observe tayong ganon para may i-address agad.
Yeah.
Yun po, Sir Rico.
Okay. Yeah, Doc D, may mga tayo sa chat box, no? Sabi ni Ma'am Josephine, gumagamit naman sila. So diagnostic test po para sa mga basic like alphabet and letters to find out if dyslexic or not. Wala po. So wala po daw. I don't know, wala daw sila doon. Okay. Yung mga iba naman, si Ma'am Irene, ECD, checklists. Okay, ang ginagamit pre-tests and post-tests 3 times a year nila ginagawa. Okay. No? Si Ma'am si Ian, okay. Good morning daw, Doc. Okay, ano pong pwedeng intervention kapag may dyslexia yung bata? Yeah, okay. Doc D, sa plus 1 intervention ginagawa na natin yan, no? So, anong gagawin dyan?
Kasi usually talaga kapag yung bata talagang diagnosed na dyslexic, yung mga mag-interchange talaga yung, lalo na kapag ang problema dyan, lalo kapag math. Like for example, ang nakikita ng bata is 25, pero nakalagay dun sa board is 52. Tapos like for example, may homework din. Ganon. Say for example, nakikita niya is 25, pero sinulat naman ng teacher is 52. Magagalit yung teacher kasi hindi ginawa yung homework. Pero yung bata, ginawa yung homework, pero iba nga lang page kasi yung nakikita niya. So, ang talagang ginagawa natin dyan, of course, first, kung meron siyang yung body-body na magdo-double check kung ano yung, kung yung sinusulat niya, kung tama. Kasi sometimes yung teacher kasi, ang dami yan, iikot yan. As a teacher, of course, responsibility rin natin na i-check. Pero paano nga yung number of students natin, if we have 45, 50 inside the classroom, mas maganda kung by pair, i-pair mo siya doon sa pwedeng mag-check. Ganon. Isa yun sa mga strategies. Then, in writing naman, again, medyo mahirap kapag ka talaga big group, pero lagi natin titignan yung sa writing niya. Like for example, big, pero nagiging dig. So, i-call agad natin yung attention ng bata, tawagin natin. So, ipabasa mo, sir. Ipabasa mo yan. Pag ang basa niya doon is big, pero sinulat niya is dig, i-correct mo na agad yon. So, yung B, siguro pwede nating sabihin na B, buntis. Like B as in buntis, di ba? Parang nakaganon yung B. So yun, buntis siya. So that's letter B. So meron dapat na may reference siya na pwede nating gamitin based on our language para mas madaling matandaan ng bata. Yung ganun ka-basic muna tayo. Pero I really appreciate that na meron tayong mga ginagamit na tool. Maganda yun kasi makikita agad natin at an early age na possible. Hindi naman natin nililabel agad, possible. Pero after the post-test, nakita natin, hindi naman pala siya dyslexia. So probably, dahil nga siguro, kulang pa rin siya sa exposure do sa language, kaya napapagbaliktad. But after that, like, nagkaroon na tayo ng post-test, hindi naman pala kasi na-correct natin to. So mas maganda lang po na nagno-note lang tayo sa mga na-observe natin.
Yeah, makakatulong din siguro, Doc D, no? Later on, i-discuss ko sa kanila yung IAP cheat, no? Mayroon tayong IAP cheat. Gagawin yan. Nasa form at makakatulong yan para ma-correct natin ang progress from the beginning to the monitoring and so on and so forth. So later on, ipapakita kasi kanila yung sample ng IAP cheat na yan.
That's good, sir.
Okay. Any more? Napakarami nating mga chat ulit dito at napakarami nilang ginagamit din ng mga tool para i-assess ang ating mga estudyante. Pero ang importante rito ay yung objective natin, bakit natin iti-test, no? Klaruhin natin ang mga bagay-bagay. Hindi tayo nagbibigay ng test para makita yung kahinaan ng bata, kundi makita kung ano yung strength ng bata. Usually, sa management ka, sa educational management at sa any other management, ang tinitingnan natin usually yung kahinaan ng bata at para i-develop yung kahinaan ng bata, no? Pero in the progressive world today, yung shift from knowing the weaknesses in order to strengthen the weaknesses will eventually good, pero it will take a lot of time. Like it will take a lot of time. And the one way for the child, for the kid to progress is to know his strength and develop his strength and give a lot of interventions to strengthen that strength. Okay? So, you know that eventually makikita mo kasi yun yung kanyang ability. Yun yung kanyang at pag na-develop mo yung ability yun, dun siya magko-contribute sa ability yun. A lot of us sometimes waste a lot of time strengthening the weakness of the person, which eventually kahit nga sa pamilya, no, gusto mong makita, ma-improve yung bata sa pagsusulat niya halimbawa. Of course, yun yung problema, yun dapat ang i-develop natin, no? Pero conventional, yun yung ating traditional way of dealing with it. Pero in the long run, marirealize natin na meron palang strength yung bata na nakaligtaan natin at magde-deteriorate yun kung hindi natin siya mabigyan ng pansin. Okay? So, develop that, intensify that. But I am not saying abandon the weakness, but strengthen the strength for the person or for the kid eventually to make use of it, no? To make use of it. Yun, of course, that's one way to look at it also. No, if you have some other ways to look at it, pero for me, okay, dapat you know your objective, know the strength of the kid, and at the same time the weakness, but address and strengthen the strength. Any other sharing? Okay, Ma'am D, I know you're going somewhere. May lakad ka. I know I've heard that. No. Yeah. So, last question, 2 questions perhaps, or you want to say more, Doc D, from our audience? Baka we can entertain 1 or 2 more questions from them.
Yeah,
para bago natin pakawalan si Doc D kasi alam natin may lakad yan ngayon.
Doc Rico, i-raise ko lang po kay Doc D yung question na kahapon. Baka po ma-share ni Doc D yung ginagawa nila sa US. May question po kasi yung ating teachers. If ano po ba yung dapat gawin? Should students with special needs really be integrated into like a regular class as a policy or hindi po ba? So ano po kaya yung practice sa US? Kailangan kasi
Okay.
nakatali.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Maganda yung question na yan. Kasi based on my experience, like in Maryland, talagang inclusion. Pero yung mga bata talagang low performing, okay, kung learning disability, yung diagnosis or yeah, they can be in a regular class. Pero syempre with proper intervention. Pero yung ma'am, yung mga kids na yung classical type of autism, naka-segregate talaga sila. Meron silang sariling classroom. Okay, that's the practice in Maryland. But when I taught in Arizona for 6 years, kahit na yung classic type of autism, kasama rin sila sa regular class. At nakita ko rin naman yung progress. Nakita ko yung, ano ma'am, yung advantage, yung maganda, yung pros and cons ng naandun sila. Kasi kung minsan, kung talagang pwede natin silang i-segregate, at least ma-address yung talagang needs nila. Okay? Pero, on the other hand, kapag ka naman kasama talaga sila sa regular class, makikita mo even their behavior, ang laki ng progress. And even those students, yung the regular students, ang ganda rin ng effect, yung interaction, kasi natututo rin yung mga regular students to empathize, to understand, because we're living in one world. That's the reality. We don't need to segregate, but we're living in the same world that we need to understand each other. So, yeah. And here in New Mexico, ayun, so yung practice naman dito, meron din talaga naka-segregate, yung talagang very low functioning, but meron din naman na nasa inclusion. But yeah, but reality-wise, sabi ko nga, talagang we're living in one world. So we need to help one another. Okay. Naintindihan ko yung mga concern ng mga teachers and even the parents kapag kunwari sinama agad yung mga bata na may classic type of autism, like bigla na lang sisigaw sa loob ng classroom, yung mga ganon, akala nila nadidisrupt yung klase. But eventually, yung sa naging practice naman dun sa school na naging ako yung naging consultant, natuto yung mga natuto rin talaga yung mga regular students kung paano makipag-interact. Yun nga, nagkakaroon sila ng empathy dun sa mga bata na may classic type of autism. So, yun po. Sana nasagot ko yung tanong. Yun.
Thank you, Doc D, for sharing. Kasi ang ganda ng idea na hindi lang pala yon nagbe-benefit for those who have special needs, but also for the regular students. Napakaganda ng point mo na yun.
Ganun po.
Thank you, Doc D.
Even the St. Louis University, we have the Institute for Inclusion. No? Inclusive education is the trend. Before we have the special education, but one thing that I would like to say, we cannot abandon special education and segregate first. Okay, we need a proper institution for those who really need interventions, but inclusion is a must. It's necessary. We cannot really segregate other people. That's even the United Nations, one of the sustainable goals, that everybody to be included, in the classroom, in the society, and all aspects of life. Doc D, thank you so much for giving us this time. Very precious time. I know kanina ka 8 o'clock sabi ko, pero nag-8:30 tayo. So tapos pinaghintay mo yung date mo ngayon. So take care. Okay, and thank you.
Thank you so much, teachers. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rico, for giving me the opportunity to share my experience, and I hope that teachers learn something from my sharing. And good luck, teachers. Sabi ko nga, yung pagiging teacher, meron na tayong nakalaang door sa langit. Kasi hindi biro yung mission natin in life. Sabi ko, this is no longer about having bread and butter, but this is a mission. Being an educator is a mission in our life. So thank you so much, teachers. Thank you.
Thank you and bye-bye, Doc D.
Bye.
Okay. Dr. Dumalanta, Dr. Bardis from the United States.
Thank
Okay?
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, we continue. Florendo, no? Ma'am Rosario, where is it continue, no?
Go on lang, sir.
Unless we have some questions, we can still entertain some questions, follow-up questions to the discussions you had earlier with Doc D. What about those sharings? May mga insights ba tayo so I can proceed eventually, no? From our teachers from Palawan, kumusta na kayo dyan? Are you still okay or do you need a break for a while? So a 1-minute break or 2 minutes, can we do that, Ma'am? Baka na sila?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
2 minutes po siguro, and then we can proceed muna with your presentation, then entertain more questions. Parang masyado silang na-excite kasi ang dami nilang bagong natutunan kay Doc D.
Yeah, okay. So we have 2 minutes break.
2 minutes,
so
Doc.
inom or you can do some personal necessities muna. Okay, see you after 2 minutes. All right, we're back, no? Ma'am Rosario, we're back, no? I have to share
Yes
my
po,
screen.
go ahead na, sir.
Okay. Once again, good morning, my dear teachers. No, let's continue our presentation then. Yeah, in your screen, I hope you can see and you can hear me now. I just want to know, Ma'am
Yes po,
Rosario.
visible
Okay,
po yung
sige.
slide. Each student is different.
All right, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Now let's just continue. Very exciting that Doc D shared a lot about or some of the strategies that we can use, and that is very true. In my screen, as you can see there in the slides, sabi natin each student is different, which is very true. And like individual people in real life, alam natin yan, magkakaiba tayo. Kaya kung minsan useless na ikumpara mo yung sarili mo sa iba. Kasi kung once you compare yourself to other, it's either makikita mo na fortunate ka o you will be miserable. Yan ang problema pag nag-start ka mag-compare. But when you start looking at yourself and your student, each student unique, then you will appreciate the differences at doon tayo magsisimula sa appreciation ng differences ng bawat estudyante natin. Kaya nga't mali sometimes na sabihin natin, lalo sa family, yung mga salitang halimbawa, may mga 3 kang anak, tapos palagi nating ikinukumpira yung bunso kay kuya, sasabihin natin kay bunso, tingnan mo nga si kuya mo, napaka-responsable, ikaw, ano ka? Which is sometimes very unfortunate na may mga ganong uri ng parents at may mga ganong uri ng teacher sa bawat classroom, no? So ingatan natin yung pagkukumpara. Ultimately, neither learning style is better. Say, its students has a different way of understanding and engaging in new informations. May mga classifications na tayo ngayon, especially today in the digital era, no? Nagkaroon na tayo ng panibagong reality in the new normal. Natuto tayo sa pagdating ng pandemic, which we are not ready after all. Nung eventually nagkaroon tayo ng online classes, blended learning, flexible learning, whatever you want to call it, but we are not in the Philippines ready for such situation, especially sa public schools. Alam natin yan. Naghahanap tayo ng paraan kung paano natin may pagpapatuloy ang ating pagtuturo sa mga bata. And one way is to go online. Okay, the online-based learning, or you may simply call it the hybrid way of learning. Now, sa hybrid, makikita mo rito ang problema. Napakaraming problema na may encounter kasi meron tayong tinatawag na digital natives at meron din tayong tinatawag na digital migrants. Sino itong mga migrants? Kasali tayo ron kasi tayo yung mga migrants sa digital era. Kumbaga, hindi natin lingwahe yung internet, yung social media, hindi natin yan pero ito yung lingwahe ng mga estudyante natin. Sila yung native, the digital native, no? Now, nagkakaroon tayo ng gap kung minsan. Kaya nga sa pagtuturo natin kung minsan mas advanced yung mga bata sa they are techno-savvy pero we are struggling to use the internet. Halimbawa lang, so makikita natin yung differences. That level of engagement can even differ from one subject to another. So be mindful, sabi nga natin earlier about this. At the end of the day, variety is the key. Okay, you may underline the word variety. And that is why even in religious groups, they are using the word interculturality. Okay, may mga salitang ganun, no? Before, we simply call it the inculturation, but now we upgraded it to interculturality. And sinasabi nating diversity, in diversity, there is unity, or unity in diversity, whatever you want to call it, okay? But we recognize diversity as a reality, no? Variety is the key to developing engaging lesson plans. Don't alienate. Huwag nating alienate yung passive learners. Kasama sila. But don't neglect active learners either. So, both in the classroom, makikita natin yung classifications na to. Okay? Ang tinatawag nating passive learners, nandyan sila. Sila yung tahimik lang. Dati may mga kaklase ako sa seminaryo kasi galing din ako ng seminaryo. No? Passive learner siya, pero doon lang siya kung minsan wala, hindi nagsasalita, nakaupo lang habang nagle-lecture yung ano. But you know, eventually during the exams, yung top 1 sa exam. Okay, pero hindi siya nagpa-participate sa ano, hindi siya nagpa-participate sa class discussion. Alam niyo yung masalita, yung ano, bumagsak sa exam. So we were wondering, anong nangyari? So may mga suspicions, baka naman itong passive learner ay nag-cheat, gano'n, kaya siya naka-perfect. Tapos, anyway, pero may mga ganun tayong estudyante. Kaya tahimik sila, hindi ibig sabihin na hindi sila natututo. No? May mga aktibo naman, pabibo, ang tawag natin doon. No? You're very much active. Palaging sila yung nakatayo, nag-share, etc. Pero at the end of the day, marirealize natin na walang napunta or walang natira sa kanilang ulo. You know, yung mga marunong makinig, okay, sila yung natututo. Kung ikaw ay salita ng salita, tandaan nyo to mga teachers ha, kung ikaw ay teacher na salita ng salita at ikaw lang ang nagsasalita at wala kang time na makinig, wala na tayong matututunan. Balance is the key. Therefore, marunong tayong makinig, marunong tayong magsalita. Pero most of the time, ang pakikinig ang susi sa para matuto tayo. Ganon din sa ating mga estudyante. Wala tayong kaibahan sa mga estudyante natin. Turuan natin yung ating mga estudyante na makinig. Okay? Hindi salita ng salita. Kasi yung pakikinig, yun yung susi ng kung saan tayo matututo. To continue, no? Let me just move on. So, may mga strategies tayo. No? Just to add to what had been shared earlier, may 7 akong gustong idagdag pa dito sa mga strategies. Sana, ito hindi na bago ito sa inyo, pero gusto ko lang i-intensify kasi ito yung mga strategy na pwede nating gamitin para ma-enhance ang learning ng mga estudyante natin with diverse needs, no? We call it the 7 creative ways to teach diverse learners. Itong 7 ito ay actually a compilation of many tried and true research-based and teacher-approved techniques that can make figuring out how to teach to diverse learners in a lot of easier way. No? So let me just start with number 1. Start natin sa number 1. Make an IAP or IEP cheat sheet. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. No? So, ito yung individualized educational plan. Okay? Tapos, detailed document ito. Even if you start your year gang-ho or read every IEP plan delivered to you, it's highly unlikely that you'll memorize and retain every single accommodation required. Napakahirap kasi marami tayong estudyante. May I just know from you, no, from our teachers, sino yung gumagamit ng IEP sa inyong classroom? Meron ba? You can just unmute your microphone kasi yung screen ko ay naka full screen. Hindi ko nakikita yung inyong mga hand raised. So perhaps kung may mga gumagamit na ng IEP sa atin, you can share your ano. Meron na ba? May mga ginagamit po tayong IEP? Tahimik. So wala atang gumagamit. Si Ma'am Samparan. Ma'am Samparan, Maria Ivy Samparan. Hello, Ma'am Maria Ivy. How are you? Naririnig ba ako, Ma'am Ivy? Wala. Mukhang hindi tayo naririnig ni Ma'am Ivy. Si Nancy. Hello, Ma'am Nancy. Buena Vista. Ma'am Ivy, are you there? Wala ata akong kausap. Okay. So let's just continue then. No? Kung I hope may gumagamit na ng IEPC nyo. Meron na ba? Hello? You can just click yung icon dyan kung meron para pag-usapan natin. Vivian?
Not yet pa daw po, sabi
Not yet,
sa
sir.
chat.
Wala pa. Okay. Anyway, mahirap kasi kung usually lesson plan ang ginagamit natin, no? Pero yung IEP, the individualized plan, dapat bawat estudyante natin, lalo na sa special education, kailangan natin yan. Kung hindi pa tayo gumagamit, siguro makakatulong kung tingnan natin kung ano itong ano. Yun yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung IEP cheat sheet, okay? To save yourself the time for having go back and read the plans repeatedly. Usually, itong ginagawa natin sa special education, lalo na sa center, sa 1+ center, that's the center of Doc D na establish niya. So happened that I also manage the center. No, nagbibigay talaga kami ng IEP sa bawat estudyante namin. Pero of course, ang problema sa mga schools natin na malalaking schools ay hindi kayang gawin yung IEP niyan. Pero sinasabi ko sa inyo, makakatulong yan. So if you're going to take a look at some itong IEP cheat sheet na to, I'd like to share with you. Okay, hope this will open, no? Ito. Sige, I'll show you in the screen. Nakikita ba to? Yung screen natin. Pwede kayong gumawa ng ganito na kasimple para sa inyong individual student to, ha? Okay. So, halimbawa lang ang letters ang iyong lesson, no? Sa uppercase, ilan na yung alam niya out of 25? Okay, pwede mong sa assessment kanina na pinag-uusapan natin. Listahan ito, no? Parang listahan lang ito ng utang. Sino bang may listahan ng utang diyan? Okay. All right. So, halimbawa, yung uppercase knows, kailan 'yon? Lista niyo riyan for the first week. Okay, for the first week. Tapos yung lowercase, ilan ng in this week 1 of your class, ilan na yung alam nila na lowercase. Okay? Sounds. Okay? Out of 26, ilan na ang alam nilang sounds. Okay? Sa words naman, okay? Out of, alam niya, out of 50 words na binahagi mo, or 10 words, ilan na yung words na alam niya ngayon. So, imo-monitor mo yan weekly. Imo-monitor mo yan weekly. Or perhaps kung masyadong tasking naman yung weekly, in a month pwede. In a month pwede. Or usually, evaluation time sa 1 year, pero that's too long na. No? Pero frequent evaluation using the IEP cheat sheet will really help you know kung kasi kung minsan paulit-ulit na lang, kaya yung mga estudyante natin, ang sinasabi nila, paulit-ulit naman si ma'am. Masyado ng alam ko na yan. Pero may mga estudyante na hindi alam, na hindi nakakasunod. Kaya nga yung approach mo rito, pag alam mo na kung sino yung naka-perfect na dito sa uppercase words, hindi mo na sila eventually uulitin pa, tuturuan mo yung hindi pa nakakaalam. And eventually lahat sila alam na, alam mo na lahat sila alam na kasi meron kang IEP cheat sheet. I hope that will help, no? I hope that will help. Okay, so we continue then. That's one, no? That you can use. You can manipulate the so-called IEP cheat sheet. Second, okay, encourage active learning. Ito yung second tip na pwede nating gawin. Ano ba yung active learning na to na sinasabi natin? Most educators have created at least one lesson where they thought this is great. Okay, alam nila, I can't wait to teach this. excited tayo, no? Excited tayo kasi nagpi-prepare tayo. And then the following day, gustong-gusto na nating ituro yon. Then they took it into the classroom and the kids either didn't get it or without participate, no? We wouldn't participate. Ikaw nag-prepare, ikaw nag-prepare, alam mo na master mo yon, excited ka, tapos eventually sa classroom ka, tuturo mo na, okay, ready ka sa lahat ng paraphernalia mo, and eventually the student didn't get it or won't participate. This demonstrates a teaching fact that should be shared with all newbies, no? A good lesson written to state standard isn't good enough. Tandaan nyo yan. Kung minsan alam natin na uy, galing ko, nag-prepare ako, alam ko yung lesson ko, ituturo ko to. Okay? Pero kung minsan alam nyo, hindi ma-appreciate ng mga estudyante, bakit? Anong problema doon? Okay. Active learning involves the student in the instructional process. Alam ko ginagawa niyo na to, no? Katulad kanina ng circle na gagawin natin. An example of active learning. An example of active learning where involve our students even in designing, okay? Yung hands-on dapat sila, no, na kasama, no. So it's a process through the use of relevant activities and discussions. This method will stimulate and reinforces the students' conceptualization and conceptual understanding of course material by engaging them with the lesson process. Ang gusto lang natin ay kabahagi yung estudyante sa proseso ng pag-aaral. Okay? Dapat kabahagi sila sa buong proseso, simula sa middle and at the end. In the whole process, the students are part of the learning process. So, pwede tayong mag-hands-on laboratory, pwede tayong mag-group problems, may peer instruction, may games and challenges na pwedeng gamitin. Ngayon, you can just go online and look at what is hands-on labs or laboratory na gagamitin ninyo. Depende sa lesson ninyo yon. Okay, yung group problems, you can also do that. Okay, si Paulo Freire, you remember, sa kanyang Pedagogy of the Oppressed, napakaano to, no? If for those of the encountered Paulo Freire before, perhaps you know what problem posting is, no? Yung problem posting approach of Paulo Freire, the conscientization process, which is very important, conscientization, yung analysis of the situation of the students that eventually when they realize their situation, they look for situations where they themselves will solve and bring themselves to be liberated from that particular oppressive situation. That's the pedagogy of the oppressed of Paulo Freire. So they themselves will look for situations. Sometimes ang ginagawa kasi natin, we identify the problem of the students and we give solution to the students, which eventually the students cannot appreciate because they're not part of the solution. Makakalimutan lang yan ng mga estudyante. But if they themselves are part of the liberating process of the lesson process, then they will always remember it. They will always remember that because they are part of it. I hope that is clear. Peer instruction is also important. Pag sinabi nating peer instruction, you peer your students. Sino yung medyo advanced na, sino yung medyo nahuhuli, pwede mong body-body, okay? Body-body sila. Mentoring is the key sometimes kay sino yung mentor, sino yung mentee, and in vice versa, each other will learn from each other. Games and challenges are very important techniques as well, my dear teachers. No? So you can explore what games, what appropriate games and challenges are supposed to be used whenever you engage into some activities. So that's one, active learning. Moving on. The process of active learning activates divergent thinking. Ito yung importante, no? So, which helps students think less in terms of individual concepts. Kasi ang gusto natin yung group think, okay? And more of in terms of big picture. And this mode of thinking increases students' ability to draw connections to the world. Our lessons are supposed to be not, hindi dapat nakalutang, kundi dapat makikita natin yung connection nito sa pang-araw-araw na buhay. Sa religious term, maganda yung term nila dyan on how to make the good news in flesh. Sino ba mga religious people dito sa inyo, no? Alam natin when you hear the word incarnate. Okay, yung salitang yun ay napaka-paborito ko din, no? Pag nagtuturo tayo, i-stop lang ba siya sa theory? Pero dapat makikita rin ito sa gawa. The theory and practice at the same time. Pero para madaling intindihin, dapat ito ay pag sinabing na isa sa buhay, to make it in flesh, to make it incarnate, to make it the real in the real life. Okay, so this mode of thinking, sabi nga natin, will increase a student's ability to draw connection to the world. Yung active learning na yan, kasi sila mismo gumagawa, especially to their own lives. The key skills that develop through the process of active learning are analysis, evaluation, public speaking, and collaboration. Okay, so engage your students into active learning. In turn, active learning methods provide the teacher with an ongoing analysis of their students' understanding, because there is constant feedback between the student and the material. Okay, the connection between the learner and the object of learning is very important. If they are not connected at all, if there's no connection at all, I doubt if the students will learn after all, no? Yeah, tama nga si Ma'am Ardeen, okay? Dapat po may application, sir, para masabi na may natutunan sila sa active learning. Tama po, yun yung sinasabi natin. Ma'am Arlene, paki-share naman. Alam ko meron kang knowledge dito, Ma'am Arlene. Na nagawa na ito ni Ma'am Arlene. Ma'am Arlene Cabais is from, taga saan po kayo, Ma'am Arlene? Go on, Ma'am Arlene. You can unmute your microphone, share your knowledge. Huwag nang mahiya.
Sir, good morning po. Meron po kasi kami admitting, sir.
Kaya mukhang marami kayo dyan, Ma'am Arlene, no?
Opo, sir. Meron po kasi kami admitting. Kaya nag-chat lang po ako sa chat box. So,
Okay, good.
Yes, opo.
Thank you, Ma'am Arlene, but you're true. That is what I am telling, no? Yun yung sinasabi natin. Active learning, kaya nga't naging active kasi dapat may connection siya sa theory at practice natin. Sa religious parlance, ito yung tinatawag nating process of incarnation. Kaya nga't if you're going to take a look at the biblical text also, even the religious people will tell you about the incarnation of the Word. Jesus himself became flesh. Kasi nga sa religion or yung mga Catholic dyan or not even Catholic, the good news, the word is good news. But if it's as long as word pa lang yan, okay, salita pa lang yan, at hindi nakikita sa concrete reality, hindi natin maiintindihan. Kaya nga, God himself became flesh, and that's Jesus. Now we know Jesus is a person like us, and that is why we can understand God because of Jesus. Now, apply that in learning. Try nung i-apply that in learning. Meron kayong idea, meron kayong ituturo, mayroon kayong tinuturuan. Yung tinuturoan ninyo at yung sinasabi ninyo ay sometimes may distance. yung sinasabi ninyo hindi magets ng bata kasi hindi niya nakikita yung application na yung katotohanan sa reality. Kung sabihin mong mahal ka ng nanay mo, theory lang yan. Hanggat hindi niya nakikita na gumagawa ng bagay ng pagmamahal yung nanay niya, no? So you can apply that, no? So active learning, involve your students into this. May mga benefits tayo on active learning, okay? You can also add to this, okay, my other teachers, no? Number one, nag-i-increase ito, sinasabi natin kanina, it could increase critical thinking, which is sometimes no nakakalungkot, lalo na sa mga panahong ito at ang social media ay masyado ng rampant. Kung ano yung nagba-viral, alam nyo, sila sumisikat. Kung gusto mong sumikat, kahit nakakatawa, mag-viral ka, sisikat ka. Pero sa mga nanonood, bakit nila like, pinupusuan, kahit hindi naman talaga, bakit? Nawawala na yung masyadong critical thinking. Kaya nga't ang daming nabibiktima ng tinatawag nating scam online. You can just imagine, no? May kilala akong estudyante. Lahat ng application ng pag-uutangan sa internet ay nautangan niya. Okay? 11 applications yung nakita ko, no? That's nautangan niya. Can't imagine, no? Hindi nagbasa ng mga terms and conditions. So at the end of the day, ano nangyari? Sadlak sa utang. So critical thinking is important that we need to develop to our students sometimes. Para hindi lang like ng like or click ng click sa mga nakikita nila. Provide, okay, active learning also provide frequent feedback. Sabi na natin yan kanina on students' comprehension of the material. You know, sometimes it also gives a student a larger role in their learning environment. Hindi na lang sila yung sunod-sunod, hindi na lang yung taga-sunod, pero sila mismo yung gumagawa ng initiative. Okay, that is one thing good about active learning. It also increases student attention, and finally, and more, okay, stimulates discussions among them and within the community as well. There are activities that stimulate active learning that you can do. Okay, now na-discuss na natin to kanina, inisa-isa na natin yan, di na natin dapat balikan, no? Yung small group discussion, you can also games, problem solving, okay, role playing and debates, you can also do that. I know a lot of you are doing that already. Okay? Pero may mga disadvantage din ng kailangan makita rin natin yung disadvantage ng tinatawag nating active learning. Ito yung it will require a lot of spontaneous and flexible lesson plans. Okay? So dapat masipag ka kasi kung minsan nga problema nating mga teachers, no, kahit na nasa bahay na tayo, ay yung pa rin ang ginagawa natin, lesson plan, checking, and etc. Kung minsan nawawala na rin tayo ng oras sa iba. Kasi ito yung inuubos. Kasi gusto natin yung mga estudyante natin na they engage into active learning pero ubos naman yung oras natin. Now, the second is ninilimitahan nito ang mga materials, limited materials of materials na kailangan natin, na magagamit natin that can be presented at once, no? Binukulang tayo kung minsan. And also, number 3, yung disadvantage nito, it will create the potential for distraction if students are not monitored. Nagiging wild sila, maingay na kasi hindi natin masyado na monitor kasi nga, in-engage na natin sila, lalo na sa games, lalo na sa debate, nagiging maingay na at kung hindi natin na monitor, nagkakagulo na yung mga estudyante niyan kung minsan. Yun naman yung downside ng active learning. So, in contrast to what we call active learning, meron din naman tayong tinatawag na passive learning. Tulad ng sabi ko kanina, no, yung aking kaklase sa seminary, na kuminsan natutulog lang yan sa table niya habang nagkaklase kami. Pero at the end of the class, siya yung maraming na isasagot, siya yung nagiging perfect. No? Passive learning holds the student responsible for absorbing. Ito yung lecture, tapos Paulo Freire also classified this as the banking approach. The banking approach na para bang nagdideposito ka lang sa isang bangko, nagbukas ka ng account mo, nagdeposit ka ng pera mo sa bangko, yung proseso ng teaching mo ay ibinabangko mo lang yung knowledge sa estudyante mo, at pag time na ng exams, ng quiz, wini-withdraw mo yan, tiniting mo kung may interest, kung kumita ba yung sinabi mo sa kanya. Kung meron, de mataas ang kanyang grade, pero kung wala, babagsak yan. So banking approach to. Passive learning ito, pero may advantage ito kasi usually ang advantage naman ito yung bang pakikinig. Pag marunong makinig yung bata sa sinasabi mo, marami siyang natutunan. Passive learning promotes defining, describing, listening, and writing skills. This process initiates convergent thinking, where a given question typically has only one right answer. Okay, normally, instructions will test students' understanding through quizzes, assessment, and handouts, as I've said earlier. So, ang ginagawa natin sa passive learning, nag-a-assign tayo ng mga readings, nagbibigay tayo ng mga handouts. This is a classic example of passive learning. Okay, students read and absorb the material on their own time. Whenever you receive that particular material, no? Nagbibigay tayo ng PowerPoint presentation tulad ng ginagawa ko ngayon. Passive kayo ngayon. Passive kayo ngayon. Pero kanina active kayo. Mamaya magiging active kayo. Pipilitin ko kayo maging active. Hayaan nyo lang muna ako magsalita. Tatapusin lang natin to, no? Okay, so eventually, meron din tayong traditional online lectures, mga ganun. So napakaraming paraan para sa passive learning. Pero one thing, may natututunan din tayo rito, no? May mga benefits din sa passive learning. Halimbawa, quickly presents a variety of information. Napakadali mong i-present yan kasi parang na-store na yan. Parang stock knowledge yan na tinatawag. Nandun na sa isip natin yan. Na-store na sa atin. So pag nakita mo yung question, usually sa exams, no? Nakita mo yung question sa exam, alam ko yan. So lumalabas ka agad yan. Allows lecture notes to be pre-planned and reuse. Nandiyan na yan. Paulit-ulit na lang yan. Okay? Kahit nung 2010 pa na lecture mo yan, ginagamit mo pa ngayon, ayan, passive kasi na-store na siya dyan. Pwedeng ilabas mo ulit, gamitin mo ulit, gano'n lang yan. And it gives the professor or the teacher more control over the course of delivery. Kasi master na niya yan eh. And it provides a concrete and organized presentation of the material. Siya lang kasi, manipulator yung teacher. Pero kung minsan ayaw natin yung minamanipulate yung lesson. May mga disadvantage, of course. Okay? Yung passive learning equates to limited learning. Okay, we know that. So, may appear boring or unrelatable. It also presents fewer opportunities as a student's comprehension. And students are more likely to shy away from voicing or misunderstanding, or students are lost or less involved in the learning experience. Kasi nga passive eh. Kasi nga passive. From the word passive, alam na natin yan. No? So ito yung modelo na dinevelop ni Fink. Yung passive learning, sabi niya, is simply receiving information, an idea. Active learning is more engaged into experience, particularly doing, observing, yung reflective dialogue with the self and others. Okay, importante yan. So, you are given options. Nasaan ka ngayon as teacher? No? Ito yung tanong natin sa'yo. Ano ka? Evaluate yourself. Take a look at yourself. You are in front of your students with diverse learning needs, no? But are you that passive learning teacher, no? Are you a teacher promoting passive learning? Lecture ka ng lecture, give lecture ng lecture, okay, and your students are simply receiving information and ideas, or are you the teacher active, a teacher promoting active learning? Confront yourself honestly, okay? Kasi kung hindi, yeah, try to check it out, no? Kung asan ka doon. Yeah, si Ma'am Kabais, may student na daw siya before na natutulog po siya sa classroom, pero kapag tinatanong siya, nakakasagot naman yan, no? So yan, si Ruth ay active, yeah, both si Sheena. Yung mga iba, ano ba kayo diyan? You can write your answer there. Okay, si Sheena ay both active at saka siya, no? Yan, so both. Karamihan naman, pati ako kung minsan both. Ito nga, ginagawa ko, passive to eh. Yan. Huwag nating ikahiya kung ano yung meron tayo kasi doon tayo magsisimula, no? Yeah, karamihan talaga, no? Active and passive. Yan, si Arlene, si Mary Joy, combination of two. Yeah, that's right, no? Totoo yan, totoo yan. At hindi natin dinidina yon. Kung minsan napakadaling mga passive nga eh kasi parang turo ka lang, okay, sige. So let's continue, no? Let's continue kasi 7 to eh, hindi ko pa natatapos yung isa at mauubusan na naman tayo ng oras. So number 3 tayo, no? Embrace small group learning stations. Ito yung magandang approach na pwede nating i-adapt pa rin, no? Yung sinasabi nating small group and learning stations. Yung learning stations na yan, dapat permanent yan, dapat, okay? Kasi kung minsan ikot-ikot tayo, establish muna natin. So you should consider including centers and small group activities into your weekly routine in some way because it is, number 1, helps a learner, especially diverse learners, by addressing knowledge gaps. Matuto sila. They will learn, okay? They will learn to identify which is the learning gap. If there's consistency, the key word here is consistency. Dapat consistent ka sa learning station mo na yan kung sino yung members at ma-monitor mo yung members ng station group na yan para makita mo yung consistency ng development eventually ng kanilang ginagawa. At yung small group and learning stations also promote collaboration. Natututo sila ng cooperation, matututo sila ng the skills of community values and communication among students as well. Or perhaps yung fraternal correction will also be important aspect that the students will learn here. Small groups will bring them to confronting each other in the healthy way. Yung fraternal correction na tinatawag natin. And it gives more opportunities for feedbacking, which is more important. Listen to the feedback. And feedbacking happens in small groups. Encourage independent learning. Okay, and finally, there are suggestions and guidelines for effective small groupings like group your students by so-called learning style and not ability. Okay, group your student or group your learning or group by learning style, underline that, not ability. Mixed ability groups can promote learning. Diverse sila eh. Diverse sila. Magkaiba eh. May mga marurunong magsulat, may mga marurunong sa salita, magtula, and etc. So mix them, okay? Because they will learn from each other. And the extension of this is to place students who learn in similar ways together, visual learners with visual learners, auditory with auditory, etc. Doing so can make a huge difference during small group instruction. So, learning style, okay? Yung marurunong sa math, group them, yung marunong sa etc. That's the first step lang muna. That's the first step. So, group them by learning style. Okay? May mga fast learner, may mga slow learner, group them by learning style, not the ability. And you should consider including centers. No, nabalik yan, sorry. Okay, so number 5, no? Yung number 5 natin, yung project-based learning is important also. You promote project-based learning. It is important because project-based learning is not a summative assessment. It is a way of actual helping students understand what is being taught through hands-on method. Okay? Then the project-based learning activities, bigyan nyo ng project, kids work together to solve real-world problems by coming up with solutions together. Although glue and poster boards are sometimes involved, the real ingredients for project-based learning activities used to teach diverse learners are, for example, the academic content itself, the real-world scenarios that make the material more relevant, a sense of purpose, opportunity to practice collaboration, the 21st century skills, the student-focused activities with ample choice and opportunities for self-reflection. Ito yung mga ingredients of project-based learning na kailangan nating involve. Of course, I did not include anymore here the research-based learning process. I only included here kasi mga bata pa yung hinahandle natin, although it's good na sa higher ups, sa higher learning, yung research-based. But as a starting point, tulad ng ginagawa nila sa Japan, I also experienced teaching and visiting schools sa Afghanistan. You can just imagine, no? Afghanistan, Pakistan, sa border ng Afghanistan at Pakistan, may part doon na tinatawag nila Quetta. I was so impressed with the way they do project learning. Pero na-alarm lang ako kasi in that part of Quetta, yung isang project na pinapagawa sa mga estudyante, gumawa ng baril. Oh my. So na-alarm ako doon, no? Na-alarm ako kasi hindi nating kultura 'yon. Pero when I asked the principal, "Sir, why did you allow your students to engage into to this knowledge on how to at least handle and create a particular gun?" Kasi yung project nila, yung laruang gun, yun lang, yung laruan na yun yung pina-project ng teacher, only to find out na sa areang yun yung kanilang primary source of living. Okay, primary source of living nila yung paggawa ng baril. Oh, well, that's Afghanistan. Pero pag ginawa mo dito sa Pilipinas yan, baka makikick out ka pa na bilang teacher, no? Pero dito sa atin, sa Palawan, halimbawa, dito sa Baguio kasi, yung mga project dito, halimbawa, pagtatanim ng gulay sa bakuran o kaya pagtatanim ng mga sa mga pots. Kaya I do not know, in Palawan, perhaps pwede tayong makinig sa mga na taga Palawan. Gusto ko lang marinig kung ano yung mga project na binibigay niyo sa mga estudyante ninyo. Si Ma'am Winda. Ma'am Winda lang nakasulat sa Ma'am Winda, naririnig mo ba ako?
Yes sir, good morning po.
Ano yung mga project usually na pinapagawa mo sa mga estudyante mo at paano to nakakatulong?
Sa akin sir, normally sir kasi sa TVL po ako. So sa akin sir, more on like practical po talaga. Tulad po sa akin sir, may portfolio kami. Tapos depende po sa subject na kanilang sa topic ko. Yun po yung pinapagawa ko. Yung mas madali kasi depende rin, may mga rin po kasi may mga learners na parang hirap, lalo na ngayon sir sa time, medyo nag-adjust talaga sila sir. So inoobserbahan ko po talaga kung ano lang yung lahat po nakaplano.
Yeah.
Pero marami akong kino-consider sir, so yung mga checklist na paano ko ba pwedeng mas mapagaan para hindi naman mabigla yung mga bata. Kasi especially sir, ang portfolio kasi nila sir, parang per quarter ko ginagawa. Pero yung mga output nila every lesson, meron naman po, katulad yung paggawa nila ng mga like, since sa TVL po nga ako sa servicing, since hospitality kasi home economics po yung ang specialization ko. So mga ganun lang po, sir. So lahat po mostly ngayon, sir, first quarter is fully observation. And then yung medyo lighter ng konti yung activities. And then pag medyo ano na, so saka na po ako mag-a-add up. So marami pa rin po talagang kailangang i-check. So may mga notes po akong ginagawa.
Yeah.
Students, para po malaman ko, ma-identify ko yung mga students ko. Even my advisory rin, sir, kasi yung advisory ko, iba rin po yung mga specialization nila. Kasi sa TBL naman po may iba't iba. So sabi ko, I have to observe and then evaluate kung sino po yung medyo kailangan kong magkaroon ng intervention, and I have to coordinate with their subject teacher para yung project po nila, medyo mag-uusap kami, ano ba yung mas better way para mas maibigay at maintindihan po ng mga bata. So yun po.
Yeah, tama, Ma'am Winda. No? Thank you so much for sharing that. One thing na gusto ko kay Ma'am Winda, yung pagsabing marami, okay? Ibig sabihin pang talagang gustong-gusto natin. Gusto natin, marami tayong gustong gawin, etc. Tapos yung coordination, yun ang isang importante, Ma'am Winda, na sinabi mo. Sa mga teachers, different teachers, coordination. Kasi kung minsan, nagkakaroon tayo ng conflict na pinapagawa sa mga bata. Kaya at the end, ang problema ng bata, hindi na niya alam kung ano yung uunahin. So coordination is very important. Yung sa marami naman, dapat nating i-identify anong priority doon sa marami. Kasi marami tayong gustong gawin, so i-identify natin kung ano yung priority. Si Sir, thank you sa Ma'am Winda, no? Sir Ronald Alan, okay, pwede ma-share itong project-based learning like school gardening ninyo sa school?
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir, yes.
Yes, from Bakungan Elementary School. Kami po ang aming school from grades 4 to 6 nagpe-prepare po ng vegetable gardening for full force po para sa school feeding program. Opo, yun po ang hinahanda namin. In-integrate po yun sa TLE for the grade 6 and FPP for the grade 4 and grade 5 in other subjects such as science and ESP and health.
Oh yeah, that's good. Alam nyo ba kung saan ang school na walang exams? Alam nyo ba kung saan schools na walang quiz? Alam nyo bang kung anong school sa mundo, okay, in the world, na hindi nagbibigay ng exams? At bakit hindi sila nagbibigay ng exams? Kasi naka-project-based sila na learning. May idea ba kayo? Chat nyo nga doon sa chat box natin kung alam niyo kung saan. Sa Japan. Aha, Japan. Puro Japan, ha? I agree. Japan. Okay? Pero may mga exams pa rin yan sa higher ups. Pero meron talagang school na yun, nakita ko na yung answer. Finland. Okay, Finland. Yung sabi ni Ronald, no? Roldan, no? Sa Finland. Sa Japan at Finland. Yeah, true. Okay. Yan sa Japan naman kasi if you have studied comparative education, sa Japan, values and culture ang napaka-importante sa kanila. Kaya nga sa elementary level nila, karamihan yan ay mga values and culture ang tinuturo. The importance of values and culture. Sa Finland, talagang hands-on at hindi sila nagbibigay talaga. Most of the schools, hindi talaga silang nagbibigay ng exams. Okay? Kasi nakikita sa gawa. Isang school na nabisita ko in my travels ay yung Indian Institute of Technology. Alam nyo, number 1, kasali to sa world ranking of a good institute or universities in the world, no? Yung Institute of Technology sa India. Alam niyo yung mga estudyante diyan, yung hindi pa hindi pa nakaka-graduate, may mga company na naghihintay sa kanila. Di ba't yun ang standard ngayon ng ating mga schools? Bakit? Karamihan ng mga schools ngayon ay they are aiming for internationalization. They are aiming for world ranking. Okay, the WURI. Okay, they're aiming for to be part of the listing of the world best education sa ISO, PASC, whatever, or those accrediting schools, okay, accrediting organizations, gustong mapasali doon. Pero if you're going to take a look at, okay, kung gusto ninyong evaluate kung ano yung standard ng evaluation ng mga schools na to, karamihan dito ay they are market-driven schools. Unfortunately, schools now are catering to the need of the market. Ito ba talaga yung goal ng education na ngayon? Okay? Kaya nga lately, our Vice President was appealing to the different companies about our grade 11, grade 12, like the tech book graduates na sana bigyan din ng priority, accommodate yung mga graduate na to. Bakit kailangan nating makiusap sa mga company? Ang company ang nagdidictate kung anong dapat ituro sa mga bata ngayon. Kaya nga't nagkaroon tayo ng mga K-12 programs ng may STEM, may HUMS, and etc. Kasi yung company, ito yung dinidictate nila. So, if you're going to take a look at your curriculum, most of the content of our curricular offerings are patterned to what the market is needing. Kung ano kailangan ng market, kung anong kailangan ng mga companies out there. So, ang schools ngayon are catering to the need of the companies. And I find it unlikely. I find it parang nakakalungkot kasi hindi na education, educare. Okay, hindi na pagbungkal ng kaalaman, kundi we are now addressing the need of the businessmen. So schools are being tools, no? We're now, sorry to say that, no? Pero yung mga schools ay nagiging vehicle, tools ng mga company, which of course supposed to be. Isa pa na na-observe ko, yung maling pananaw tungkol sa edukasyon. Paano natin, bakit natin dinadala sa school yung ating mga at ito yung usually naririnig ko na reason ng mga parents kung bakit sila nagpapaaral ng ng kanilang mga anak. Okay? Ano yung reason na yon? Sabi natin, edukasyon lang ang may pagpapamana natin sa kanila. Edukasyon ay mahalaga. Now, pag tatanungin mo yung bata, bakit siya nag-aaral, isa lang palagi ang naririnig kong sagot, gusto niyang magkaroon ng magandang trabaho. Okay? Gusto niyang magkaroon ng magandang trabaho. Tama naman ba? Type nyo nga doon kung mag-a-agree kayo halimbawa. No? Yung sinasabi nating ang bata ay mag-aaral para magkaroon ng magandang trabaho. Okay. Agree ba kayo or disagree? Paki-type nyo nga yan. Agree. Agree. Sige, lahat siya. Please, I just want to see your agree. Agree. Alright. You can just type. Say agree. So, agree. Nag-aaral kasi magkaroon ng trabaho. Okay? Agree. Agree. Oy, may isang disagree. I like the person who said disagree. Okay? Kasi doon tayo magsisimula. May isa, pero mas maraming agree. Ayun, ako disagree. Okay? Tingnan natin. Kung ang intention natin ay mag-aral para magkaroon ng trabaho o magkaroon ng magandang trabaho, may problema tayo. Okay? Kasi you will end up to be looking for a job. Maghahanap ka ng trabaho pagkatapos ng graduation. Anong pinagkakaabalahan ng isang estudyanteng Filipino? Okay, ang pinagkakaabalahan niyan ay matuto, makakapagkuha ng diploma at magkahanap ng magandang trabaho. Pero I tell you, for as long as you are employed you cannot be richer than your employer. Of course, we're talking about practicality now. No? For as long as you are employed and you have a boss, you cannot be greater than your boss. You cannot be richer than your boss. Your boss will also always be richer than you because you are an employee. Okay? At kung gusto mong yumaman, then you be the employer. You be the employer. Itong kaibahan ng Chinese sa Filipino. Kung ang kultura ng Filipino, we send our kids to school because we want them to find a good job. The Chinese mentality is like this. They send their kids to school in order for the kids eventually to create jobs. You see the difference? Okay? Nakikita niyo yung kaibahan? Okay? Yung mga Chinese, papadala, pag-aaralin yung kanilang mga anak para eventually sila mismo, yung kanilang anak, ang gagawa ng trabaho. Pero sa Filipino, ipinapadala natin yung ating mga anak sa school, mag-aaral sila para magkaroon at makahanap ng magandang trabaho. Okay, sinong mas mayaman eventually? Yung gumawa ng trabaho. Paano nila ginagawa to? While the Filipino kids were enjoying their studies in the school, in every graduation, sa lahat ng level, sa lahat ng antas, nagkakaroon tayo ng blowout, grade 1, may achievement, blowout, grade 2, grade 3, high school, blowout yan, bombastic, lalo na pagdating ng college, bombastic ang celebration. And at the end of the day, pag nag-graduate ka na, wala ka ng pera at maghahanap ka na ng trabaho. And sad to say, pag hindi ka na paghanap ng trabaho, ikaw ay professional tambay. Okay? Pero itong ginagawa ng Chinese, okay? Hindi, nagsiselebrate din sila. Pero they set aside a certain amount of money, dinadala yan sa bank. Dinadala yan sa bank. Okay? Anong ginagawa sa perang yon? Okay. May celebration, pero may nakaalat din para sa bata sa bank. Until such time na paglaki ng bata at nag-graduate na yung bata, malaki na rin yung pera sa bank. Pagka-graduate, may celebration din naman, pero itong mahalaga. Ang sasabihin ng parents, son, you're graduate now. Here is an amount of money which I've stored in the bank. I am giving it now to you. Go and create money. He didn't tell his kid, go and search for a job. Go and create job. Go and create a job. You have a money, here's the money, go and create job. Pero sa ating Filipino, hindi. Anak, wala na tayong pera eh. Naubos sa celebration eh. Hanap ka na ng trabaho, anak. Okay, di ba? Okay, see? Okay. Now, why did I share that? Kasi dito sa project-based learning, mahalaga to. Kasi ang dapat nating inculcate sa ating mga estudyante, lalo na sa diversity, find their strength. Sabi ko nga kanina, strengthen that strength. And from the project-based learning, dun sa strength nila, dun yung papagawin ninyo ng proyekto nila para eventually that project will bring them to liberative life. Okay? Liberative life. Let's just continue kasi nawaubos na tayo ng oras. Number 6 na tayo. Incorporate. Ito mahalaga, lalo na ngayon, EdTech and adaptive learning tools. Napakarami niyan sa online. Halimbawa, yung tinatawag nating peer deck, yung picklers, yung words in sentences, okay? Yung Classcraft, yung book creator, yung Google Keep. Lahat yan, may mga I want to show you pero naubusan na tayo ng oras, mag-11 na. I was only given up to 11 for my presentation. No? So, eto, I just want to discuss this, pero just go into the and it will teach you a lot of techniques kung paano magagamit ito para sa mga learners with the different learning styles. And finally, may tinatawag tayong provide alternative testing options. May kasabihan tayo na one doesn't fit all. No? Parang hindi pwedeng yung isang tests ay para sa lahat. Kasi may iba't ibang capability yung mga estudyante nga natin. So provide alternative testing options. One final suggestion is to find alternative, because testing avenues for individual learners, if allowed, or the class as a whole, the fact that we traditionally test on paper doesn't mean that it's the only acceptable way. Instead, you should differentiate your approach by allowing students to answer orally, through drawing, and even with the use of other notes, if allowed. Okay, ang problema, napaka-uniform ng ating testing tool. Doing a quick Google search, for instance, alternative assessments, napakarami niyan. Kaya pag clinic mo yung alternative assessments in the Google, makikita mo napakaraming alternative assessments na pwedeng gamitin. Will bring up to tons of creative testing ideas for every type of student. Okay, so this will allow you to evaluate your students better and improve your own teaching as well. Concluding remarks. Okay, tingnan nyo yung mga nasa picture kung nakikita ninyo. Iisang essence, okay, but coming into different appearances. Carrots with different colors. We have that here in Baguio. If you go to the Baguio market and look for the carrot section, you can see carrots with different colors. I can tell you, without diversity, creativity remains stagnant. The greater the diversity, the greater the perfection. Okay, the path to diversity begins with supporting, mentoring, sponsoring, okay, diverse women and men to become leaders and entrepreneurs. Diversity is the one true thing we all have in common. And thank you with the sweet strawberry from Baguio. Okay, hope all to see you here in Baguio. No, enjoy our carrots and our strawberries. If you have some questions, I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Rico. Nag-enjoy tayong lahat this morning. Ang dami nating natutunan, both from you and Dr. D also, all the way from the US. Thank you, Sir Rico. May questions pa po ba tayo kay Doc Rico? Although kanina ang dami ng mga input from questions also. Sana po mas exciting kung face-to-face tayo. Sana hopefully next year.
Yes, sana nga, no?
Oo nga po. Any questions po for Dr. Rico before we let him go?
Medyo gutom na sila, ma'am, no? Nagta-thank you na sila. Alam ko yan, style ko rin yan. Pag wala na ako, nagta-thank you na lang ako eh.
Para ma-dismiss na, sir.
Alam ko yan, ma'am.
Thank you, Doc Rico. Doc Rico, pwede po bang i-share natin sa kanila yung presentation natin? If you could send it to me po, and then I will post it on our FB group page.
Yeah, you sure,
okay
ma'am. I'll send it through email.
Yes, sir. Thank you po, Doc Rico, for
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for our teachers from Palawan. Hope one day I can visit Palawan, which I really like to go there. Okay. Bye all,
po,
and
face-to-face
enjoy the day.
sa kanila eh.
Yeah,
nag-invite po sila sa kanila. Sana next time, sir.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye. I will leave the group now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, dear teachers, share po ni Dr. Rico yung ating presentation for this morning, and I will post it po as soon as he sends it to me. So now po we move on to our asynchronous session. So you can now respond to the assessment task for session 2. So I hope we have enjoyed as well, learned a lot from this morning's presentation. Dami po nating input for this morning, and we can use this when we go back to our own classrooms on Monday. And a reminder lang po, we resume our synchronous session at 1:30 this afternoon with Dr. Grace Gomez naman po. Thank you, dear teachers, for being very active this morning. We'll see you back at 1:30. Have a good lunch po to everyone.